What's going on, everybody? John out here with you. It is Thursday, March 2nd. Let's get right into it. 37, 16, and 8 are the Toronto Maple Leafs. It sounds like this. Austin Matthews, Michael Bunting, Mitchell Marner, Morgan Riley, and Justin Holl. Ryan O'Reilly, John Tavares, William Nylander, Jake McCabe, and TJ Brody. David Camp, Alexander Kerfoot, Kelly Arncroft, Mark Giordano, and Luke Shen. Noel Acciari, Eric Gustafson, and Sam Lafferty will be on the fourth line with Joseph Woll in net. And for the Calgary Flames, they are 27, 21, and 13. It sounds like this. Elias Lindell and Dylan Dubé, Tyler Toffoli with Rasmus Anderson and Mackenzie Weegar. It's Nazem Kadri, Jacob Pelche, and Jonathan Huberdeau with Chris Tanev and Noah Hannafin. Michael Backlund, Andrew Mangiapane, Blake Coleman with Trevor Lewis, Milan Lucic, and Walker Duarts, Nikita Zadorov, and Dennis Gilbert. On the third line defense for Daryl Sutter's squad, and Jacob Markstrom is going to be getting the start in net tonight for the Flames, and he should be getting probably more of these as you go forward. So for the Toronto Maple Leafs, as we have the Canadian National Anthem from Jonathan Huberdeau's sister. Thank you for Cooper Hopkins on that side, because I didn't forget. As you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, they look a little bit different as far as their acquisitions. Ryan O'Reilly, Noel Acciari, Eric Gustafson, Jake McCabe, and on the other end, Luke Shen. 5 new additions at the deadline for the Maple Leafs. Here's the interesting part. They're in the middle of a 5-game road stand. They're off a back-to-back now, and they're going to play 3 games in 4 nights. So as Joseph Woll gets the start in net tonight, I'm going to make a proclamation for the first time as far as who is going to win the game tonight. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put my money on the Calgary Flames to win this game tonight off the back-to-back against the Maple Leafs. They got smoked by the Edmonton Oilers the other night, 5-2. Calgary needs these points. They're 5 points from my wild card spot in WC2. I think that they're going to get it tonight. And I'll take it a step further. If the Flames are trailing into the third period, they will get their first comeback win of the season and get the full 2 points. That is my prediction tonight. So I'm going to go all in on the Flames to get this done. So it's Joseph Woll, 1-1 on the season, 257 goals against, 929 save percentage. No shutouts just yet for Joseph Woll. And on the other end, it is Jacob Markstrom. Jacob Markstrom is 15, 15, and 8, a 296 goals against with an 887 save percentage. No shutouts yet for Jacob. Again, I imagine he is going to get the brevity of starts as we go along in this latest rush. I know it's March Madness upcoming, but the trade deadline, we're just on the eve of it here, and I'm expected to be joined by Cooper Hopkins. We will talk all about that as well, but we do have a big-time hockey game on our hands. So as we meet at center ice, it's Ryan O'Reilly and Elias Lindell get set for puck possession as the Calgary Flames are wearing the all-black with the yellow and red piping in the Blasty jerseys, and on the other side, the Toronto Maple Leafs have the white shirts with the blue pants as they are on the road. Again, they're in the middle of a 5-game road stand. Mackenzie Weegar will try to keep this in with Dylan Dubé, and now Elias Lindell. They'll battle on the left side of the wall against Justin Holl. As a stick lift for Timothy Liljegren as he tried to get this out in front. This goes in between the circles, and Sam Lafferty, he was the pickup from the Blackhawks, and so he'll try to chip and chase this thing, and he did get around Mackenzie Weegar, but Rasmus Anderson, with the help, able to get that out, as the Flames will try to go right to left in this first period. The Maple Leafs will go left to right, as Blake Coleman will try to flip it in, and this will go right into the breadbasket of Joseph Woll as he makes the save, and Calgary is going to get an offensive zone draw upcoming at 19:13 left to go in the first. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. So I'm going to try to make sure that I get 6 out of 7 streams this week. I'm going to try to stay busy because all of next week it's going to be very difficult for me to get any streams going because there's a lot going on as far as the game plan. So that's why we loaded up this week. So I hope you guys enjoying all the broadcasts so far. It's a long shot. This one gets brushed aside by Joseph Woll and now picked up by Michael Bunting, but off of the stick lift is Michael Backlund. As this will try to get wrapped around for Mangiapane. Now picked up by Backlund into the neutral zone as he tried to just stride deke this past the left side of the boards, but this will fall to number 34, Austin Matthews. As Matthews gets us here to Marner, but they are offsides. Morgan Riley and Luke Shen is part of the decor, but Jake McCabe and TJ Brody and the Mark Giordano and Justin Holl. So from what the Maple Leafs fans were saying yesterday as far as don't ever play Riley and Hall together again. Sheldon keeps not doing that because it doesn't seem to be the situation that works the most. So Gustafson, once he does get in here, you'd think he'd probably crack at least that top four, but they're still getting all their deep pair acclimated. As Jacob Peltier is going to sit some time in the box for a too many men bench minor, so that's not a start that the Calgary Flames wanted. As this is an offensive zone draw, this goes right to Marner, and into the traffic off the screen from Nylander. Markstrom makes the save. So 1-1 on the shots. Toronto is on the power play with a $1:54 left to go in their man advantage. I'm going to invite Cooper Hopkins in here right now, and we will take this game in, and I'm sure that we will also split off the play-by-play and color side tonight. This is a big contest. Calgary's 80% on the penalty kill right now, which is 14th, and Toronto about 24% on the power play, which is 5th. As Tavares will try to stick with this. This goes around the inboards now for Nylander, and they'll continually move this around here for Morgan Riley. Austin Matthews into the traffic. This will just be a pass right in the middle of the slot that gets collected now by the Leafs. Riley will sauce this one over to number 34 as Marner is patient near the right side dot. He'll sauce it right back to Nylander as the Leafs continue to move this puck around on the power play. They love to do that. They want to get into spots where they can shoot in between the circles, so you got to be careful of that. As Michael Backlund tries to pick it up off the backhand, rides the wall, gets the rebound back, and that one just goes just wide off the left pad of Joseph Wall as Backlund almost scored on shorthanded opportunity. 1:05 left to go on this power play here for Toronto. It's 2-1 the shots for Calgary as they'll try to gain the zone again. They're also adjusting with a lot of D-men, as we said on the Toronto side, with all the acquisitions that they've made. So we'll have to see how their even strength lines will roll out as we go along. Ryan O'Reilly out there with Kelly Arncroft. And here's a break. It's Coleman by himself. Scores! Blake Coleman shorthanded. And the Flames are on the board first.
John, what a time to join the broadcast, my friend. As Jacob Peltier pounds on the glass in glee. I am smiling from ear to ear. And boy, oh boy, John, it's 1-0 Flames. 2.5 minutes into this thing. Blake Coleman gets on his horse. No pun intended with those Blasty jerseys, and he makes no mistake on the forehand. What a goal for Calgary.
Wow. And Cooper, I will say this in the beginning of the broadcast, I made a proclamation for the first time. I said who was going to win the game outright. I am taking the Calgary Flames to get the full 2 points tonight. The Maple Leafs are playing 3 games in 4 nights. They're going to be tired off the back-to-back. Give me Calgary as they're going to get closer in this wild card hunt tonight. That's my take. So now this will be with Toronto. They've just conceded a shorthanded goal, but they're still on the power play as Austin Matthews tried to center this up middle of the blue paint, but it can't be cleared by Calgary. It's William Nylander, middle of the circles, off the one-timer, and what a stop by Markstrom as he slides all the way over.
Oh, John, boy, oh boy, and Marner, he's whistling right now, and I think he knows that he was about 2 inches away from tying this game. What a stop by Markstrom. We cannot understate it. He is ready to go tonight. He slides left to right and makes a huge stop. I mean, Toronto's still moving on the power play. Very dangerous as we're back underway.
15 seconds left to go now on Toronto's power play. Marner going to have this in his own end as this goes now to Morgan Riley. Riley with the back pass. He throws it in off the inboards as he gives it back to Marner. As we had an extreme close-up on Sportsnet side. Calgary's feet have to differentiate that because they're both Sportsnet. As this is a 2-on-2, it's Backlund. Get the pass across, and that one was whistled just wide off of the left boards. This could be a breakout opportunity, but Rasmus Anderson was in the right spot. But here's Austin Matthews in a long shot, and that's held by Markstrom.
Yeah, John, so I just now I have a moment to breathe, as we both do, as we get a nice shot of the Calgary Tower there, Cowtown. And it's interesting to see, and not surprising to see, so many blue shirts in the audience there. Of course, we have an all-Canadian matchup tonight. And last night, it was also an all-Canadian matchup, a 5-2 loss for these Toronto Maple Leafs against the Oilers. So Toronto maybe stumbling here in Western Canada. We'll see if the Flames can keep the momentum going.
Yeah, I think with all the games that they've had and all the acquisitions that they've made, especially on the decor side, it's going to be rough, especially in the road stand, to get everything going. So it's going to be a trial by fire. And they're playing the Flames. How about that? As this goes now in the defensive end toward the right side boards, and this is cleared by Calgary, so they'll try to gain the neutral zone. but it will be the Leafs after a couple of stick lifts. This is David Kampf, but it was turned over as Huberdeau put the stick out there, but this will go to the Leafs off of a long stretch pass from Lachari. St. Louis Blues. He tried to pick this one up. Here's a chance for Lafferty, and that was a good save by Markstrom. He's looked solid early.
Yeah, Markstrom looks good in the alternate pad set there, and he also looks good just in terms of his fundamentals. Lafferty had some nice open ice right there. This is something that we saw against the Boston Bruins, or when the Flames were facing the Boston Bruins. A little bit too much open room for those trailing forwards, but Markstrom has a clean shot at that one, gets to see it from distance and makes the glove save.
Gotta tell you, Cooper, I love that mask for Jacob Markstrom. I need to see him wear that more, give you some confidence. As this is picked up here for Hanifin and now Tanev, try to get this out of their own ends. This will be banked off the end boards, and Calgary will start this one more time off of a long pass. This is not iced. This will stay with the Leafs off of a stick lift, as they're still trying to work with this is Morgan Riley. They will bank this in between the legs of one of the Maple Leafs as they still have this in their own end, and Alexander Kerfoot will spin and take his time as he leaves it now for Justin Hull. Hull will get the right side of the wall and put this in. So it's Justin Hull and Joseph Wall, the goaltender. I'll try not to tongue-tie myself, but I know I'm probably going to, as this is picked up near the left side of the red line. And it takes a crazy carom. David Kampf trying to put it in between the blue pane, as that was pretty dangerous. And now this is going to be a race for the puck. It'll be Dewar. Dewar is on his horse trying to get around TJ Brody. And now able to pinch in a little bit is Milan Lucic, as this is a battle with Mark Giordano, former Flame. And now this goes to Nikita Zadorov. His shot goes a little wide, but this will be an opportunity for Milan Lucic to pick up and use that body off the backhand as he tries to put this deeper here with Morgan Riley, able to win the battle off the stick lift, but it's not out just yet, as this is grabbed into the neutral zone here by the Flames. And Milan Lucic gets canceled off by Bunting, the second-year player. And now this is wrapped around by Brody, as the Leafs will try to acquiesce this thing again left to right. And now they'll gain the entry with Austin Matthews off the drop pass. He puts the flyby in front of the net. This is an opportunity for the Leafs, and that was dangerous. They probably should have shot that. It was Mitchell Marner. But instead, they elect the pass, and now they got to game the zone again as Mackenzie Weegar will spin amongst the bowling pins. He makes a great pass to Elias Lindholm, but it couldn't be corralled there by Teapot, as this will go back to Mackenzie Weegar now. Weegar off the backhand trying to get around Marner, as this is chipped off the end boards now. 13:55 left to go in the first. Drawn out here with him, a play-by-play joined by Cooper Hopkins as always, as we take a look at Calgary and Toronto at the Settle Dome right now. And this should be a good matchup on the trade deadline eve, as this is almost put in the player's bench by Ryan O'Reilly, but it's gloved down. It stays in play, gets across the flaming sea. Nas and Kadri try to get a piece of it, but that's going to be offsides with 13:39.
Yeah, Johnny, you know what I'm liking so far on the Calgary side is the play of Mackenzie Weegar. You made a good call. He was spinning between some bowling pins on this previous shift, and you know what? He didn't knock any of them down, nor did he let them knock him down. He made a great backhand pass on the outlet and set up his team for a bit of an offensive opportunity right there. Nothing came of it, but it's nice to see the Flames with some strong play from their D-core early on.
Yeah, they're carrying that same kind of control. I don't want to bring this up, but I was watching the game the other day, as I know that you were. We kept that alongside of it, and I can just look at the shot board in comparison to what happened against the Boston Bruins. I'm thinking, man, Mark, that was just one of those situations where Calgary could have 2 points, but they're starting that same type of play against the Leafs. That's what you want to see. Now it's just about getting those point totals, because we talked about it the first 3 games. You and I thought the Flames would get 3 points. They got 1, and now they got to get in a situation where you got to get a couple wins here, beat Toronto, beat Minnesota, and get it back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. And, John, I'm going to keep an eye on a couple of players in particular on the Toronto side tonight. I mean, obviously, we recognize that, well, now he's wearing double fives. Mark Giordano, the former Calgary captain, also TJ Brody, who you mentioned a moment ago. Played several seasons with the Calgary Flames and had a lot of success. But you know who I'm really keeping my eye on, John? And yes, I'm being tongue-in-cheek, is none other than Calle Jarnkrok, who played a handful of games with the Flames at the end of last season, came over from the Seattle Kraken when the Flames were making their playoff push. And Mr. Jarnkrok had all of 1 goal during his time with the Calgary Flames. So hopefully that they can keep him to that kind of a performance tonight where he's ice cold out of the rink.
Yes, and we're getting a good look right now on the Sportsnet feed for Calgary's side from Michael Backlund and his play. And as Cooper and I talked about it, I really can't think of a better flame alongside Tyler Toffoli at the point where he's just been carrying the pace of play this year. He's been great.
Yeah, he really has, and he's getting his requisite close-up shot on the Sportsnet feed right now. His play has dictated us pay a lot of attention to him. Number 11 in black tonight, and I wouldn't be surprised if he makes an impact as well.
4 goals in the last recent stretch here for Backlund. All over on the power play, shorthanded, a little bit of everything here. As this gets picked up now by the Flames, and they will try to get this out of their own end as somebody got smoked. That was Jonathan Huberdeau just before the neutral zone, but he popped right back up as this is a long outstretched pass, and this is picked up now by the second line. It's Peltier now for Kadri as he gets this back over for Huberdeau. Huberdeau will try to play this off the forehand, but he was lucky enough to get it back and drop the stick of one of the Maple Leafs. Now in the high slot, Rasmus Anderson with a pivot near the right dot, looking for a deflection. Where's the puck? Wall's looking behind him as they're still trying to jab this thing. And now we get some pushing and shoving. Luke Shen, welcome to the party.
Oh boy, Luke Shen was just working over Huberdeau, and I think Huberdeau, after taking that hard hit near the Toronto blue line, he's not much of a player to throw hands, but he's not pleased with what Luke Shen was doing. He was just giving him the business there, and Huberdeau was making no attempt to dig the puck out from underneath the goaltender. It actually was under his own knees, and Shen was just going to town on his nameplate area on his shoulders. So we're gonna have to watch that as the game continues.
Right, it'd be like the count 1, 2, 3. He was giving all these cross checks right on the nameplate. So let's see if Huberdeau is going to be okay here.
My goodness, yeah, looks like he's going for a little equipment issue. He's at the bench right now. I think that the strap on his helmet may have popped off, courtesy of Luke Shen. So that's definitely going to be something interesting to keep an eye on.
So one of the Flames gets kicked out of the circle, and this is what I always love. It's Milan Lucic, but this one is against David Kampf. We'll see if the big man can win the draw, and he does so again. He's got to be a centerman. I see him winning a lot when it gets switched out of the center circle, and this is picked up now by the Flames. And now they'll try to make a back pass, but that was a great reach by Nikita Zadorov. Just be able to buy some more time, but this is near the left side boards as somebody gets staple gunned. That was Trevor Lewis. As the hits are starting to fly a little bit here from the Maple Leafs. Now off the backhand, and gain the entry. This is Mark Giordano, and he's putting on a little bit of the sauce as that goes near the left side of the post. And now a cross check the other way as this is collected there by Dewar, and he makes a great pass. And now it's Dennis Gilbert, but it's 1-on-4. And maybe see if he can actually get to this as he gets a little bit of a snow job toward the left side of the boards. And that was some good work by the Flames as they were heavily outnumbered. And now the Maple Leafs finally get this out of their own end, but it's iced.
You know what, John? I'm going to say this right now. We keep talking about players we want to keep an eye on. Of course, I was joking a little bit about Kelly Yarncroke, but obviously we're going to keep an eye on the play of Mark Giordano tonight. He just made a nice play and just showed you what he can do. I mean, listen, he's one of the elder statesmen now when it comes to defenders in this league, but he showed a little bit of fleet-footedness right there. Stepped around a D-man. We see him put Milan Lucic in a blender, and he got a shot right on.
566 points in 1,085 career games for Mark Giordano. He's been one of the best for a long time, as this is now won near the right side boards by the Maple Leafs, and they got to get this out quickly, but Noah Hannafin. They'll provide the backup here for Christopher Tanev, and now Tanev's pass. We'll try to go into the neutral zone now as it's Backlund and Mangiapane, and that got sticked away from Mangiapane. Could have had an opportunity. And now it's 4-on-3 here for the Maple Leafs, and an opportunity right in front for Austin Matthews. And that got sticked aside by Markstrom. That could have been very dangerous as this is wrapped around the inboards now. Backlund all the way back in his own end as Maple Leafs will try to hold this in. 28 goals this season for Matthews, 60 last year. Number 34's got it now off the half spin. Mackenzie Weegar stopped him from even making his move. That was a good heads-up play. But this stays with the Leafs now. Mitch Marner against Rasmus Anderson. He gets pinned against the boards, and this will allow the Flames to escape with it, play it in between the skates, and get across the flaming sea. It's Dylan Dubé. Dubé now driving the left side of the faceoff dot. He did center it out in front, but nobody was there, and having to elude a hit was one of the Flames. as this gets to stay with them. Now Mackenzie Weegar, he's stuck into the left side of the boards, but the Flames will provide the reinforcements. A shot out in front for Toffoli between the circles. That goes way wide, but Calgary is all over this puck right now. Dylan Dubé, now for Lindholm near the left circle in the high slot, Mackenzie Weegar, as the Flames stay patient. That was a wonderful flip pass, east to west on the side of the ice. Elias Lindholm opportunity. That gets blocked out of the air, falls to Toffoli, and Joseph Wall makes the save.
Well, that is a big save by Wall right there, and he had to be in just the right position. Deflection attempt comes from the near wall. It's down right in front of the crease. Toffoli kind of gives a half slapper from only about 8 feet away, and Wall closes the door right there. Do you know who else closed the door on a 4-on-3? You made a nice play-by-play call, John. Boy, Jacob Markstrom, and I'm going to use the late, great Stuart Scott's line. Markstrom looks like as cool as the other side of the pillow right now. I mean, he is just in it, locked in, and we're about halfway through this first period. Who's going to blink first? The Flames have one, but both goaltenders are definitely focused.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see, because Calgary's right in this thing still, but they need some goaltending support that they know they can count on. If they get it on the back end for Markstrom, that could be enough to push them forward. But these are some hellacious games out in front, as we talked about. Morgan Riley, this goes off the left pad of Markstrom, picked up now by Tanev, and now Jacob Pelchier. This pass, he tried to give and go there with Huberdeau, but that was way too hard. It bounced off the left skate of Pelchier. And now Nylander will try to wrap this around his inboards as Toronto looks to get set right now. Again, 3 games in 4 nights. Toronto's got 6 shots to 5, but Calgary's got the first goal of the game, courtesy of Blake Coleman, shorthanded. As it's John on here on the play-by-play, joined by Cooper Hopkins. We are at the Settle Dome right now, and we are watching the Calgary Sportsnet feed. I'm going to go ahead and get Cooper back in here because I think we had a little bit of an error, and we'll flip it in right now. So I will get him back. So most first period goals this season, the Maple Leafs with 67, the Flames with 63. But again, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. That's what we always talk about. So this will be a face-off win by the Flames, or by the Leafs, and the defensive end as Nikita Zadorov trying to get around a couple stick lifts there from Sam Lafferty. The Chicago Blackhawk was playing with a little bit of edge there, as now this will be a chip and chase for the puck. Good job there by Dewar, as he has a little bit of speed. You can see that on the fourth line side. And this gets picked up. Nice play from the knees, but it gets deflected by Calgary and put back into the zone. 8:55 will be going the first. The Flames with a 1-0 lead. As again, the Leafs will take their time, and Sheldon Keefe's squad look to get a controlled breakout as Mitch Marner got canceled off. What I've noticed again in this first period is Calgary's had this attention to detail on the body side, and they're stopping these plays from getting started against some primo scoring opportunities there for Marner, Matthews, Tavares. It's important as a pass gets intercepted from Matthews, and Backlund will touch it now. Backlund will gain the entry in a long flick as this one goes up in the netting on a play. So I'm going to try to do this again and see if this works. Hold on one second.
Well, there we go, John. Sorry, you know me. I'm always good for 1 or 2 technical difficulties.
All good.
every time we get together. But you know what? If I'm the one taking the hiccups, that's fine because the Calgary Flames look pretty flawless right now. Of course, the Pelchier penalty, you can mark that down. But in terms of their 5-on-5 play, John, I'm really liking what I'm seeing from these Flames. And in particular, I mentioned him already, but I got to mention him again just because he looks so good. Mackenzie Weegar is playing out of his mind right now. He makes a steal off of Mitch Marner's stick, then outlet passes, and the Flames get a great offensive opportunity. He's looked good, and also Jacob Pelchier has looked like a man on a mission. Toronto's right in this, of course. It's a 1-goal game. We know they have a ton of talent, especially with some of the gentlemen who are now newly added to the roster, and we can talk about them all night long. But so far, the Flames, and this is what we've seen, right, John?
Yeah.
We've seen these first periods more often than not go the Flames' way. The question remains in the back of both of our minds, I'm sure, can they sustain it over 60 minutes? That's what we're going to find out tonight.
Yeah, we are. And the reason why I said with all the acquisitions that the Maple Leafs are trying to do with the schedule that's in front of them for this night, That's what I said in the open for this night. I think the Flames will be able to do that and get the full 2 points. I'm not even talking about the Maple Leafs scratching something out in overtime. I'm saying winning a game in regulation. And I also took this a step further, Cooper. If the Flames are down in the third period, I think they will get their first comeback win of the season. They're going to take 2 points tonight. I'm going to hold it to it.
I love this confidence, my friend, and I will take it all day long. And, hey, it's no surprise. I'll join you. I'm feeling confident as well, not just because of the lead that the Flames have right now, but just based on what I'm seeing, just the eye test, they look good. And as long as they can sustain at least some of this, some percentage of this, they will do well to make your prediction come true. And we are back under the action, a John Ottism.
As it's 8:10 left to go in the first. It's put to the blue paint, and that opportunity got blocked. And now you got to be careful here. The Maple Leafs have a chance. It's Noah Chari of the fourth line side, and what a diving shot play from Dennis Gilbert as he made a great play in front of the left faceoff dot. And now the Maple Leafs will try to go ahead and pick this up as TJ Brody is getting absolutely manhandled. And now this will be a long pass from Achari as a couple series of cross-check whacks to the back. They're certainly letting these guys play. Alexander Kerfoot now near the left side of the faceoff dot. He'll keep this off the forehand, but good job by Huberdeau as he was able to make the play, but they can't escape the blue line as Morgan Riley and Jacob Markstrom saw it all the way with the glove hand.
Yeah, Jacob Markstrom's seen enough right there. He had a clear look at that shot that came from just a few feet in front of the blue line right there. We see Kerfoot sort of gingerly heading back to the bench. I mean, I'm sure he'll be fine, but you know what? He was matched up there, and diving Dennis Gilbert takes him out of the play, basically, or the shot attempt, I should say. And then you know who else is looking exceptionally physical tonight, a little more so than usual? Number 10 in black, Jonathan Huberdeau. He's been throwing that stick around in the body as well, so that was that Luke Shen Huberdeau moment. I think Huberdeau's turned up the physicality.
Yeah, you want to see that right now because you know what Toronto can do, even though where they are in the schedule. I mean, they can still make you look foolish. As the centering pass for JT there just missed. John Tavares could have had one on the doorstep, and now this goes across the red line. But this will be a either hand pass or we're going to get a neutral zone draw anyway.
Okay, John. So obviously I was a little tardy this evening, and so if you can, for myself and for any of the other listeners, give me one more takeaway. I know you like the Flames tonight. Is there somebody on the Toronto side that you think might make an impact on this game? Could be a new player, or do you think it's? I mean, hey, you could go with number 34 anytime. But who do you think might push the Flames to the brink tonight?
I still want to see, because I know it's a Western Conference battle part of it, Ryan O'Reilly on his new team. He's been playing pretty well since the trade, so I'm going to go with O'Reilly tonight.
Okay, I like it. And we have the puck on Markstrom's stick here, and the Flames trying to get it out of their own end, so I'll let you jump back into the play-by-play action.
So Majapani will get the pass across, try to give this one right back off the give and go, but this will hit Backlund instead. Now Backlund near the right side dot. Try to keep this alive off the forehand. Tanev can get there just in time and hold that blue line. Now it's Noah Hanifin off the outside of the post and stayed out. I thought that was almost in, but this is with the Flames now. Majapani, he gets worked over in behind the net of Joseph Wall, and now this will be an opportunity for Marner as he tries to gain off the backhand, and that shot got whistled just wide. As this tries to get settled down here for Coleman. Coleman now, as the puck gets knocked away from him, and now the Leafs touch up, and looks like Marner's holding on to his arm or something like that, and we'll see what the call's going to be.
Yeah, boy, and John, we're getting a shot of Noah Hanifin on the bench right now. His shot was so close to going in and so convincing that Blake Coleman started to celebrate. He was pumping his fist, and then had to turn around and get back into play. It went off of Coleman's shin pad, and then off the inside of the right iron behind Wall. Wall didn't even see it. John, how many times have we said this in Flames games? Another inch, maybe an inch and a half, and it's 2-0 Calgary.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that was, again, as you said, on the inside of the post. You can't get much closer than that, as Walker Dewar will drop this off now for Zadorov off the stretch pass. And this will be ice at 6:03.
Okay, now, John, you are the resident expert here. I'm always riding your coattails, my friend, so I'm going to put you on the spot, but not too badly, I don't think. Can you tell me a little bit, if you know anything other than the stats? We have them in front of us, so we can go through them. But big number 60 in goal for the Leafs tonight, Joseph Wall. This is not a goalie that I'm particularly familiar with. Do you have any insider info, or is this somebody that we both are going to have to learn about tonight?
Joseph Wall has played a couple of seasons here for the Toronto Maple Leafs in spot starts when they had Peter Mrazek. He's somebody that can be in the 920s. He's a pretty decent goaltender, but I don't know if he can stay consistent from game to game, but that's going to be his opportunity tonight to see what he can do. So Dewar, after a couple of chops out from Gustafsson, I wasn't sure he was going to start tonight for the Maple Leafs, but he is, as this is wrapped around the inboards now and iced.
Yeah, a couple of icings here. We've had a lot of flow to this first period, but over the past 90 seconds or so, several icings. And I'm glad you mentioned Dewar. I mean, of course you had to. That's your responsibility on the play-by-play duties. And number 71 in black there, he was going after Gustafsson there. Nothing egregious, I don't think. He's just trying to stick lift and get himself a little room on the zone entry. But Walker Dewar, he and Peltier, the young guys for Calgary, got to keep an eye on them tonight as well. And you have the four eyes, my friend, so you have a better likelihood of keeping track of everything, because I've mentioned a bunch of players that are of interest.
You know what I liked the other day? I know what the result was against Boston, but when it was Jacob Peltier on the bench, I know it was a credit to being Huberdeau's goal. He was just pretty much giving a bunch of stick taps there on the players' bench for Jonathan Huberdeau, trying to get him to smile, pump him up, bring the energy. And we're seeing that from Peltier, and we're seeing that from Walker Dewar, and I think that's really nice, as this is picked up now by the Maple Leafs, and also because they're contributing, not just the lip service that I'm trying to bring. As Dubé got hit by Kerfoot near the neutral zone, and this is picked up now by David Camp. He's on the third line, but he's a little bit better than that right now. This is just a deep Maple Leafs team as Kerfoot's shot goes way wide, matriculates off the inboards, and this will be picked up now by Elias Lindholm. Elias Lindholm now with Rasmus Anderson trying to hold this near the left wall, and this will be flipped down by Calgary as they force the Flames back into the defensive zone, get the pass across, and get set to try to gain the neutral now to the offensive end. As that was a good big hit again, the Mackenzie Weegar. He's been all over the ice as that was a good back pass. Nazem Kadri off of the stick lift, trying to center this back out in front for Peltier, but he got all sorts of tangled up. But look at Peltier, still continuing to battle for that puck as the Flames trying to provide some support. Well, on the blue line side, Austin Matthews is to go all the way back in his own end. And for those that only think Austin Matthews can score and do nothing else, he's a plus 32 on the season for the Maple Leafs. He is a good 200-foot game as this takes a bad bounce. And now Matthews, but the net is knocked off, and that's fortunate for Markstrom.
Yeah, John, interesting situation right there. I'm not sure how the net came off its moorings. It actually may have been Markstrom's own skate as he tried to close the 5-hole door there, and I think his left skate may have knocked the post. But either way, we're going to get media timeout right here. And yeah, you make a great point. Obviously, Austin Matthews, one of the premier players in the NHL and a household name. And I don't know if he gets enough credit. I just don't hear it talked about enough. No. His 200-foot game and the fact that he is so well-rounded. Yeah, we all love goals. We love to see goal scoring. It's part of what makes the game so exciting. But Austin Matthews can really do it all.
Absolutely. He is one of the game's best, and Toronto is very lucky to have him. I know that we're going to have a lot to talk about as far as the trade deadline, and I've highlighted some of the ones that I want to talk about in the middle of the intermission. And I also think I'm going to have to say this, and I'll say this in the first intermission. I think the Flames are going to be the only hope between our two teams to make the playoffs, because some of the moves that the Red Wings have made, again, I won't go on a long diatribe, but I think the writing is on the wall, and we will have to discuss that. So look forward to that in the first intermission.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to get into all these moves, and we have the debut of number 88 in the New York Rangers blue tonight. We're going to go through the scoreboard, lots of important things happening in terms of roster changes and scoreboards, watching points. The Flames are right in the thick of it. There's tons to talk about, John. It's going to be an interesting one.
And what I liked in the New York Rangers feed on that side, it was Artemi Panarin, as Patrick Kane was in his initial skate. He was throwing pucks deep and telling Patrick to go chase it. So I think he was really happy to unite with his former Chicago Blackhawks teammate. I expect pretty good magic. Maybe not in the first game here for Patrick Kane, but I think that team's going to look really good. And as we went to commercial break, I was noticing that the Zebras were talking with Jacob Markstrom just in case about the net being knocked off. Make sure that he watches that, because if he did that by design, I think that was smart by Markstrom, to be honest with you. It's an offensive draw.
We saw a quick replay right there. It's tough to tell. You could flip a coin, and either way, you might be right. I'm not sure if it was intentional or accidental, but luckily the Flames got a stoppage. Now the face-off to Markstrom's left.
Yeah, and now Austin Matthews, he tried to get the puck possession now, as this will stay in with Morgan Riley, and this will go back now for Backlund. As Backlund tried to flip this here for Mangiapane. A couple of stick battles there for Coleman, and this goes in between the skate blades of Mangiapane, and the Leafs will go back 7-5, 3:35 left to go in this first. John, I'm here with you on the play-by-play side. Coleman looking for a second, and that one was almost sniped off the short side near the left post. And now the Leafs will try to get this into the neutral zone. There's a couple extra stick handles, and they're going to go for a change as Jacob Markstrom will play it. This one's going to be a little bit easier, but Rasmus Andersson's got a spin, and there's nobody else there for the Flames to go ahead and pick this up, and that just turned out to be a turnover. And we'll see if the Flames now can get this out of their own end. This could be a disaster if this turns out the other way, as this goes through the blue paint, and now Dylan Dubé, and we'll try to get this out, and now this is offsides. That seems like a small crisis averted there, Cooper.
Yeah, I'm not disappointed to see the puck head out of play right there. I think the Flames needed to take a bit of a deep breath just to settle themselves. This is just, for some reason, part of the Achilles of Rasmus Andersson's game. About once a contest, and not necessarily every game, but you just see him every once in a while make a bad turnover right there. There was a giveaway by number 4 for the Flames. Luckily, nothing came of it for Toronto, but the Flames have had a really good first period where we heard this story before. Got to stay disciplined here and get to the room with the lead.
So this will be a face-off that goes all the way back in Toronto's end. This goes across the Flaming Sea now as John Tavares can't find it. Dylan Dubé will get this near the right side wall. Make a nice move to try to get around Giordano, but Giordano stays with him with a long reach. And now this will be Calle Jarnkrok. Calle Jarnkrok will gain the red line as this will be dumped in. Mackenzie Weegar trying to hold off the body. John Tavares just trying to make a spin shot, and Markstrom was forced to make the save.
Yeah, that's some classic John Tavares right there. You know he's going to create pressure in the O-zone, and he did it right there all by himself. Avoided a check and got a pretty spicy backhand on Markstrom right there. Markstrom had to answer, and fortunately for Flames fans, he did.
So our next broadcast, again, we're looking at the schedule that we know all about. Cooper Hopkins and I can tell you these by heart, but Saturday will be against the Minnesota Wild. I'm going to be on that call nonetheless. If Cooper joins me, we'll take that one in on Saturday. It'll be Saturday, Sunday for me. It'll be a busy end of the long week out of 6 to 7, because the following week after that, I'm going to be tied up in a bunch of other plans. So try to super load it this week and see what we have, because all these matchups have been really good, as this is a face-off win that goes through the neutral zone, but it wasn't flipped over the glass. Now Nazem Kadri trying to keep a stick on it to get to the offensive end, but now this goes in the player's bench. 2:23 in the first.
Yeah, a bit of an interesting closing section of this first period here, John. Some icings, pucks up into the bench, and in between the stoppages, both teams, as I say pretty frequently, they both seem to have some jump. I really like the speed and energy from the Flames, but Toronto's right there with them. I would say Calgary has a bit of an edge in that department, but the Maple Leafs are not getting pushed around. They're right in this thing. It's been a good one.
Yes, it has. 2:10 left to go in the first now. That's a good outstretched pass. It's Kadri off a 2-on-2. Peltier going to fire it himself, and this goes off the left pad of Wall. And now the Flames will get this into the neutral zone, send it back to Nikita Zadorov. His stretch pass, and that was a good backhand touch there for Kadri, but this will touch the stick of Wall. And here come the Toronto Maple Leafs with Luke Schenn. Luke Schenn now still going to slow this down. As he gets pinned near the left side boards, he's going to need some reinforcements as the Flames are able to force the turnover, but this gets knocked down by the glove of Hanifin as he's able to skate back and pick it up. And now this is in the hands of number 34. He's got this near the right side wall with a serious ripper, and that goes off of Markstrom. This is played now near the left side wall again, where this will go back to Christopher Tanev. He'll bank it here for Noah Hanifin. Hanifin with a long outstretched pass from about 25 feet, and now Backlund trying to find this here for Mangiapane, as Mangiapane would be the one that have to go race in now. And now this will go with the Leafs. 9 goals, 2 power play, and 2 game winners in the last 14 games for Austin Matthews. That just tells you another reason why he's as good as he is. He's always consistent, and he's always has to be counted on to carry that offense as well as do everything. As this is picked up now, and I think there's might be a call against Calgary as Mark Giordano will get a chance to get it. Yeah, it's a high sticking call.
Yeah, and that was Rasmus Anderson, I believe, is going to be going to the box. Giordano having some words with a couple of the Flames right there, but nothing will come of it. Yeah, Rasmus Anderson gets turned around right there as the Maple Leafs work it high to low, and I think I was expecting a holding call, but, we're splitting hairs here. Yeah, Anderson was beaten by his man, got to stick up high, and he will sit for 2. So this is going to be the second power play for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, John.
Be an opportunity if they don't score now to carry it over on fresh ice, which is not what you want, and also not what you want, as you said, Rasmus Anderson being the one that's in the box. So 9 shots to 7, and as Cooper said, the second power play for the Maple Leafs. They were 0 for 1 with 1 shot. John Tavares, they have the score chyron on him with 11 power play goals as he gets set to take the face-off here for the Leafs in the offensive end. And this is a push face-off that is won by the Maple Leafs in a quick puck movement near the left side dot. As this is dangerous now for Nylander off the short side, chance for Tavares. And I think Markstrom got a piece of that, but the job's not done. As that was a great block by Michael Backlund on Mitch Marner. As he stayed all the way with it, and it goes in the players' bench.
Yep, and some of the Toronto Maple Leafs were appealing for a delayed game call there, or a puck over the glass, but that will not come to fruition. That was a decent clear, a fair clear by the Flames. And yeah, you're right, John. Markstrom had to stick out the right pad there. And I think that shot from down low just went to the wide side of the post. But some of the Maple Leafs fans in the audience here at the Saddledome were getting up out of their seats.
Yeah, I don't blame them. That was awfully close. The clear from Hannafin is not out. This stays with Austin Matthews now as he makes the back pass. Fake the slap shot there for Riley. Now Austin Matthews tried to make a back pass for Riley. That was a little bit too much there. And they'll have to get into the neutral zone and start again. They got 12 seconds in which to work with in the first. They have plenty of time to get cycled a couple times and shoot if they can. And now they'll gain the high slot for Nylander, but he overskates it. Now picks up near the right wall. He's going to fire something right on because he knows the period's expiring. Goes off Tavares, and that's going to end the first period. It's a 1-0 lead for Calgary.
Good job right there by the Flames' second penalty-killing unit. That includes Mackenzie Weegar, who I will say by a good margin was the best Flame in that period. I mean, I know it's very subjective. You can say Blake Coleman, not just because of the goal, but some of his physicality as well. He had one of the other best offensive scoring opportunities for the Flames in that period. Noah Hannafin with a great shot. You see the replay package here on the Sportsnet side. But, yeah, John, you have to like what the Calgary Flames have done here 20 minutes in.
Absolutely. They've done everything that you needed to do right now. Again, we always talk about what the next 40 minutes might bring, and we're going to have to figure that out. But if they can keep this up and keep it consistent, as we talked about, they'll be in a pretty good spot. So where do you want to start here, Cooper? Do you want to go through the scoreboard? We can go through the trade deadline stuff. I imagine that could take a couple of intermissions, so we got plenty to do.
You know what? Let's start with some of our trades because it's just too good. I mean, we're, as you said, it's trade deadline eve. So the countdown is on, and I'm inevitably going to ask you, as we talked about over the past couple broadcasts, if you think anything will happen with these Calgary Flames or if they'll stand pat. I know your position, but I'm just curious, based on what we've seen in terms of the movement over the past 48 hours, if anything has changed in where you stand. But let's leave that on the table for now because we can get to that anytime since we are covering the Flames tonight. But John, why don't you jump in? Why don't you give me one? What's an intriguing one that stands out to you? There are a couple of things on my mind, but where should we go with some of these moves that we saw today?
I mean, we could talk about Toronto, and as far as like Jake McCabe and Sam Lafferty and Luke Shen and Gustafson, they didn't give up a whole hell of a lot, but they got 5 new pieces. But there are a couple things that I want to hit that are big. So I didn't get a chance to see him play yesterday, but the Devils is the team that got Timo Meier. And they had to ship out 3 pretty good prospects, a first, a second, and a 7th. What's Timo Meier going to do for the Devils?
I think that the Devils are in a unique position here. I will say outright, I don't love what they gave up to get Timo.
They gave up a lot.
But now credit, as we always do, John, we give credit where it's due. That's what I'm going to do right now. Timo Meier has looked so good on a San Jose Sharks team that has basically been down and out from before the season even started. We've all known what their fate was going to be this year, but yet Timo Meier continues his high level of play. I think that the Devils were in a situation where they needed to add another dynamic goal scorer. He's also a very solid puck mover as well, and can skate a little bit. I mean, he's a really well-rounded forward. That's not going to give you as much. We just talked about how well-rounded Austin Matthews is. I don't believe that Timo Meier is as well-rounded, and that's just my opinion. But listen, is he going to improve the team? Yes. Is he the piece they need to push them to the promised land, as we've been saying? I don't think so, and that's a fairly steep price to give up for him. So we're going to have to see how that thing shakes out.
Here's something I got to ask you, and I know we see a little bit of Nashville, especially from last year. Tanner Jeannot was a rookie, had about 25 goals, 25 assists. He is a grit and sandpaper guy and can also punch you in the face. But the Tampa Bay Lightning gave up Cal Foote, a third, fourth, and fifth this year, a second-round pick in 2024, and a first-round pick in 2025. We've seen what happened with Brandon Hagel last year at the deadline, and as that continued, boy, in this second half, in the second part of their season, he's been excellent. Are they expecting the bounce back for Tanner Jeannot? Because that seems like a lot.
Yeah, I think it's another scenario where you and I are agreeing here, and pretty wholeheartedly. Listen, he's a well-known name. He's going to bring skill to the roster. Believe it or not, I don't love the loss of Cal Foote. I know he's not necessarily a top-pairing guy, but when you're losing depth pieces like that, that can actually end up biting you. And it's making me wonder if that's hypothetical injuries, but I'm just talking about what that player brings to the defensive core. So, I don't see Jeannot as, again, I would say Meier is more likely to push the Devils in the direction they want to go than Jeannot is likely to push the Lightning in the direction they want to go.
Okay, so I got a few more for you that I have to hit. This one's going to be from the crosstown rival because I got to get your thoughts on this. So the Edmonton Oilers acquired Matthias Ekholm and a sixth-round pick in 2024 from Nashville in exchange for Tyson Barrie, Reed Schaefer, a first, and a fourth. Ekholm is going to bolster that defense, but will it be enough for the Oilers?
Yeah, and another interesting one where I hate to take the easy way out, but it's definitely a wait and see kind of a situation. I will say of all of these that we have talked about, believe it or not, and I hate to admit it, I probably like this one the best. I'm not sure if you would have expected me to say that, but I am okay with what the Oilers gave up. I think that, when I think about the Flames, Ekholm's even the type of player that I would like on the Calgary Flames roster. We've noted several times this year that Oliver Shillington has had personal issues and has not been able to play at any point in this regular season for Calgary. That's been a tough loss. They gave up, oh my gosh, the name is escaping me right now. The Finnish defenseman that the Flames, a young guy who went to Arizona. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like an amateur right now, John. I'm forgetting his name.
You're good.
But anyway, I'm just saying the Flames gave up some pieces, and now they're with Michael Stone's injury. You have the Dennis Gilberts of the world. We're serviceable. But anyway, the reason why I talk about that from that angle is because Ekholm, I do think, can make a difference for the Oilers, and I think they know that with the way Connor McDavid is playing, basically all they need is RNH and Evander Kane and Draisaitl to just be decent for them to take care of business offensively. And so they make the move on the defensive side, and that was the smart one, I think.
No, because again, for what Tyson Barrie is, I know Mike Gold, he was mentioning that too. I know he sees some of his stuff on the Twitter side, and he was saying, I was surprised you move on from Tyson Barrie because he's kind of the power play quarterback. But when you get Ekholm, instead of a minus 26, you get a guy that's a career plus 100 for the defensive side of it, and that's exactly what you need. So quick story and update here for the Patrick Kane situation, just to give brevity on this. And I also can tell Cooper if he wasn't aware of it, but the way that it worked for Patrick Kane was the no-trade clause. And how I heard it yesterday on the Chicago part of the broadcast, because I was watching a little bit of that game, Patrick Kane made it announced a couple days ago that he wanted out, right, at the last minute in that situation. And he would only waive his no-trade clause to the New York Rangers. So Chris Drury, the GM, gets on the phone, and he goes, "Hey, all right, we know that you only want to get Kane and he only wants to come here. You guys want a first round pick? I don't think we're going to do that. We're going to go with the second to fourth. We'll throw in a condition if we get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And if you don't want that, well, then you're stuck with Patrick Kane." And that was a situation that you can find themselves in. As Chicago was probably hoping they can get more for their rebuild, but now that they can't move Taves and they only got that for Kane, he's could have a fine time with the Blue Shirts in this second half.
Yeah, I think that I did see some of the footage of him taking his first skate, his warm-up skate, and his practice minutes with the Rangers, and there's a bit of a grin there. I think he was trying to restrain himself a bit, but this is what Patrick Kane wanted. He got what he was hoping for, and the Rangers, I think you used this phrase a couple of nights ago, John, just an embarrassment of riches. Yeah. Their ability to puck move, to set up in the offensive zone, breakouts, foot speed, scoring ability, accuracy, shooting for power. I mean, you just go down the list of what you want in an offensive hockey team. And look out, the entire East is loading up right now, and the Rangers are right near the top of that list.
So a couple quick ones, because I got to get into some of my points, and I'll try not to bore Cooper Hopkins on that side of it. But the Colorado Avalanche, the second-round pick there for Lars Eller, we saw him play the other day. That should be a good pickup for a second-rounder. And the Carolina Hurricanes get Shane Gostisbehere. Ghost goes to the Coyotes for a third-round pick in 2026. So Carolina going to get some good depth for not a lot of price. But this is going to lead me into what I have to talk about now, in the sense of, we know Jacob Chychrun. I'll get that one out of the way. First in 2023, a second, and a second again in 2026. The reason why Arizona only got as much as they did, which was still a lot, all the salary is retained by Ottawa. So that way you can make more moves at the deadline if you want to put more stuff on the cap. But I got to mention the Red Wings side of it, because Steve Yzerman was wheeling and dealing. We know about Olli Maatta from a couple weeks ago. Jake Wallman just got signed to a 3-year deal. Who do they ink? Their captain, Dylan Larkin, an 8-year deal at 8.75. You got him locked in. And this is what I got to talk about on the other end, because I saw Dylan Larkin actually tear up a little bit. And I know what these people are saying in social media. Tough up, it's the trade deadline, it's a business. Oh, when Tyler Bertuzzi got moved, he didn't feel very good about that. And he let some of his voice and everything else be known, even though he was happy with Steve and you get in the situation, but it gets tough in the room. So the Vancouver Canucks, they get Filip Hronek and a 4th-round pick this year. And the Wings actually able to get a first in 2023 and a second for Filip Hronek, who they knew wasn't going to sign. And then today, the Boston Bruins get Tyler Bertuzzi from the Red Wings for a first in 2024 and a 4th in 2025, because Nick Foligno and Taylor Hall are on injured reserve. So Steve Yzerman's making some of the moves that he had to make, and I think he got a pretty good haul from what was given.
Oh my gosh, John. Yeah, let's just look at the track record, what Steve Yzerman has done. I mean, my gosh, if we went through the whole thing, we've started with his playing career, we'd be here for 5 hours, and we still wouldn't have it all taken care of. When we're just talking about his moves as a GM, I mean, if you erase everything else off of the list and only look at one pickup that he made for the Tampa Bay Lightning, a young man by the name of Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
That draft move alone by Steve Yzerman, that's one of the best of the past 10 or 15 years, John. He basically made the Lightning into what they are. Now, again, you can look at every player in front of the crease and say, okay, yeah, let's not discount those guys. That's not what we're trying to do. But you and I think, agree that kind of goaltending, when you're able to draft that and hit not just a home run, but a grand slam with the big cat, you've got to put your trust in Steve Yzerman, and I know that the Detroit Red Wings have. I certainly get the sense that you, as a lifetime fan, have and are trusting in Stevie Y. And so tough moves are made, and Bertuzzi is well within his right. This is what I don't love. I'll wrap it up on this. These players are not – we're not playing NHL 23. This is not – they're not avatars in a video. These are human beings. They're allowed to have feelings about their entire lives being upended, and, you know, with their families, and whether even if they don't have a family. You move to a new city, you're going to play with players you maybe have met. Oh, God, maybe you played in the World Juniors with them. Maybe you were in the AHL with them, but you're changing your world, right? And so These guys are allowed to have feelings about that, as are their teammates. Think about the Jonathan Quick situation.
Yes.
He made it fairly clear that he was not pleased, definitely disappointed, I think is a gentle way to put it, about having to head to Ohio and join Johnny Gaudreau and the Blue Jackets. And how do you think his teammates feel about that? He's essentially an LA Kings legend. And that's a tough move, and it is a business. I know they understand that. This is their work. But those are my 2 points. Bertuzzi I'm going to give him as wide a berth as he wants to express himself about how he feels about the change in his career, because that's what that is. And I will also say that I love what Stevie Y did. I know it's tough for players, but Yzerman, I think, continues to make really, really sharp choices for the Red Wings.
So here's something, and this was off the top of my head, Cooper. And again, this isn't to laugh, but remember when the St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup in 2019, going worst to first? This was just off the top of my head. This is who they lost. Now at Vegas, Alex Pietrangelo and Ivan Barbashev, Ryan O'Reilly and Noel Acciari tonight on Toronto, Nico Mikkola and Vlad Tarasenko for the New York Rangers. And how about the Red Wings that are filled with St. Louis Blues? Ville Husso, Jake Wollman, Oscar Sundquist, Robbie Fabry, and David Perron. That is absolutely crazy. If you're wondering why the Blues aren't as good as they used to be, look at who they lost.
Yeah, you talk about EA Sports NHL. You could basically make an NHL roster out of the former Blues. Just put them all in the red. Wait a second. Oh, that's real life, John. That's basically what happened. You can put a couple of forward lines together at least, and at least a deep pairing. So, that's the way it goes sometimes. It makes me think about jokes that I've heard about the Calgary Flames through the years. It seems like they always make trades with their in-division rivals, with the Vancouver Canucks. And, you hear fans joke about, oh, it's the Vancouver Flames or the Calgary Canucks. And this is what happens, Sometimes GMs, they get a connection going. Teams, they get a connection going when it comes to roster moves and transactions. And we have what you just described.
So we have a couple of finals, and I'll try to get to some of these here. We'll go more in depth as far as anything else we want to discuss. But I'm glad that we got through a lot of those trade deadline stuff, and I appreciate you helping me out with Cooper and leaving your thoughts on that side, because I really wanted to get through those. So the Sens, they got a 5-3 win over the Rangers, and they continue their roll. I mean, I understand, again, in between that big series that Steve Yzerman had against Ottawa, we dropped both games there on that side, and now the Sens continue to rise, and now they're only 3 points out of the playoff spot. They won 5-3. They scored 3 in the third period to spoil Patrick Kane's debut. I'm going to try to take a look at that and see what we got. It was Derek Brassard, Claude Giroux, and Tim Stützle for 3 unanswered goals as they got the win tonight. They beat Yaroslav Halak 29 out of 33. Same thing for Cam Talbot, 29 out of 32 on the loss side of it. So 5-3 win for the Ottawa Senators. A couple other finals here for you. The Penguins, I think they won 3 games in a row against Tampa. They swept the season series against the Bolts. Jason Zucker with the winner in overtime in a 5-4 win. Andre Vasilevsky gave up all 5, 27 out of 32. And Tristan Jarry gets the win, 27 out of 31 on a 5-4 final in OT.
Yeah, lots going on in the East, John. And, in a couple of games that have yet to start that the Flames are definitely going to have their eyes on. They're hoping, speaking of the Canucks, they're hoping the Canucks in BC can take care of business against the visiting Minnesota Wild. Of course, they are in Western Canada. They will be playing Calgary next on Saturday, as John Ott mentioned several minutes ago. So the Flames and Flames fans are hoping the Canucks, this is sort of rare, but they'd love Vancouver to get the win tonight to keep Minnesota frozen where they are in the standings. And then we're also taking a look at teams like Seattle Kraken, who unfortunately, John, I'm sorry to have to say this out loud, Kraken do get that overtime win in Detroit against the Red Wings by a final of 5-4. So another kind of Western Conference ripple right there, if you will.
Well, I'm always happy to watch my U of M standouts, Dylan Larkin with the captaincy, and maybe the future captain for the Seattle Kraken, Matty Beniers, as he picked up a couple points and a couple apples.
I would not be surprised if he wears the C one day, and I also would not be surprised, John, if he is the NHL's Rookie of the Year. There's a specific trophy for that. I think it's called the Calder, and I think that he will win it. That's not a huge prediction or a risky one by any stretch. I think he's got a pretty good lead on any of the rest of the pack, but he slowed down for a little bit about 4 or 5 weeks ago, but he's certainly picked right back up as he has recovered from the injury that he had. Luckily, it's not long lasting, and he's right back in the swing of things.
So, oh my goodness, a hurricane of goals in the third period. Boston Bruins put up a 5 spot in the third, and they just sandblast the Buffalo Sabres 7-1. That's critical because Buffalo is just hovering just outside of a wild card spot, and Pittsburgh also won today. What's going on with Dmitry Orlov? He's got 3 goals in the last 2 games.
Well, Dmitry Orlov, you know what? When you play the Calgary Flames, sometimes that's what you need to get the jump start, and apparently that's exactly what the doctor ordered for him. And yeah, he's on a roll right now. He was a big thorn in the side of the Flames when they met recently, and yeah, he continues to be really impressive with his new team.
And the Preds, we will say this too, because they're just outside the wild card as well. They actually get a 2-1 win against the Florida Panthers, who badly need points, but Nashville take it anyway. So John Leonard with his first of the year, and Matt Duchene with his 19. Brandon Montour tried to make it a 2-1 game, but that's all that it was. Sergei Bobrovsky takes the loss, stopping 21 out of 23, and Lankinen stops 30 out of 31 here for the Nashville Predators. And Jonathan Quick, we will see what ends up happening with him. As Cooper said, in the meantime, he's probably going to be a third string in behind Brossoit, but I think he's headed to the Vegas Golden Knights now.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, and I don't mean to do a complete right turn here, but an interesting graphic up on the screen from the Sportsnet side. The easiest remaining strength of schedule in the Western Conference for these 5 teams that are in spots or battling for spots. The Flames actually have the 4th most difficult. The Kings are the only one, or I should say the 2nd most difficult. The Kings have the most difficult schedule, where the Avs have a less difficult schedule. So it's just interesting to look at that based on their opponents and how many points the opponents upcoming have earned so far this year. So, John, we're about to get set for the second period. You keeping the pipes warm, my friend? You want to continue on the play-by-play side?
You want me to take this half and you finish off the game, or what?
Yeah, let's do it. Why don't you take the first 10, and then we'll swap it out and go 50-50.
All right, sounds good. So this is Toronto back on the power plays. They've looked it off from the first. They got 55 seconds left abbreviated, and that shot goes off the glass. Now near the left side boards, this bounced a little bit too far for Morgan Riley and dumped all the way back down the ice. So this is going to allow the Maple Leafs to try to get settled again. 1 for 6 in their power play in the last 3 games, but I'm just going to brush that aside because we know how lethal Toronto can be, especially when you have a new fresh sheet of ice and you're just coming off of the locker room. So Morgan Riley will slap past this across. This is Austin Matthews. Riley going to touch up now as this is picked up by Nylander, but he's going to go back and get it off the right side wall. And the Maple Leafs actually can't hold this in. So they got 15 seconds in which to work with on their power play. Riley going to stay patient. Set it back up now for Nylander. As again the entry here for Marner, and the Flames do a decent job to try to move this around here. Try to get it out. 3 seconds now. As the Flames have possession, they are going to clear this all the way down, and that kills off Toronto's power play. They're now 0 for 2. As this is Mark Giordano, former Flame for a very long time. We'll leave this here for Tavares, but a good stick lift there by the Flames as this gets to the neutral zone now. As Tavares will try to continue to battle near the right side wall, and O'Reilly will flip this into an open space as this will try to be picked up by Alexander Kerfoot. Jacob Peltier trying to go the other way right now, right to left in this second period as Calgary is wearing the Blasty jerseys. And on the other end, Toronto Maple Leafs left to right as they're going to go with the all-white shirts and the blue pants. It's picked up across the Flaming Sea. Back in the own end right now from the neutral zone. Sam Lafferty, and they go offside, do the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, quick offside whistle right there, so we'll get a stoppage. We're just about 1 minute and 45 in here, but there was one good opportunity on that power play, and John, we're getting the replay right now. That was a shot from Matthews, goes off of Tavares, and then off of the mask, right off the dome of the mask of Markstrom, and he was looking behind him. Luckily, that floated over the crossbar, and we're still at 1-0.
Yes, it did. I always say this, but I love those Blasty jerseys. I love the cage and everything else set up for Markstrom. I wish they'd wear these more. I feel like they get points when they wear these jerseys. As this is picked up now for the Flames, try to get this across the sea, and this will go back in the own end. Morgan Riley, 9.7 assists in the last 11 games, so he's certainly bringing the pain as far as the point totals. And Nola Chari, he was trying to dish a hit as somebody got pushed right out of the way. in our camera feed there for the Flames. As this will go back in the own end, Olachari, as this bounces off of Markstrom off the back pass. You got to be careful with that when you're putting the puck back in your own end. And now the Maple Leafs will try to acquiesce this the other way. TJ Brody get this across for David Kampf. Good touch pass there and an entry for Jake McCabe. Jake McCabe will wrap this around the end boards. We'll see if this will stay with the Leafs as this gets stick lifted a couple times, but here come the Flames. It's now 11 shots to 7 still. We don't really have one just yet. As Zadorov, now we finally get one, as Wall will make the save in the stomach.
You know, John, I have a smile on my face right now because we see this from Nikita Zadorov. Oh, my comment getting interrupted right here as Achari and Zadorov have words and a bit of a shoving match right there in your center ice. Interesting.
Little bit of mismanage of the white class, my friend, on that one.
Yeah, I think Zadorov knows that he can push. And compared to Nikita Zadorov, everyone's a little guy, but Achari right there getting pushed around by big number 16 in black. And I was gonna say though, just to finish my thought, about once or twice a game, we see Nikita Zadorov do his best Johnny Gaudreau impression. He will just come in from the neutral zone, skate through the O-zone, and get a clean shot off, and he did it right there.
Yes, he did. Backlund, nice touch pass, but it's 2-on-3. This is Mangiapane in full flight. He's going to get this one back. Thought he was going to wrap it around, and now Rasmus Andersson in the high slot as this gets ripped off the left side of the inboards. And now I think Wall finds this in between the 5-hole.
Wow, John, the Flames are all around it right now, and really, it's just perfect timing that the Nikita Zadorov effort seems to have sparked his team here. As the very next shift, we have multiple opportunities from Mangiapane. The puck's bouncing out in front. Rasmus Andersson with a shot from the high slot that actually goes off the glass and almost bounced in off of John Wall's back. So Calgary looking good here, picking up their pace as we're just a few minutes into the second frame.
So looking at Mangiapane and we're looking at Rasmus Andersson right now, and they're just staying all over this puck. It seems like the Flames are really out in front of this contest right now, and that's the way you need to be. You got to make sure you keep your foot on the gas and try to bury the Leafs if possible. Just the third start this season, the 7th career start for Wall. So I know he's got a handful of starts here and there, but he really just needs to get NHL experience. As Mark Giordano make this pass as this goes off the embankment. And Riley, this is a nice looking setup, and that shot goes wide, and somebody gets upended off a good old-fashioned hip check. And this will go the other way now. Dewar will try to fire it on. This goes off the outside of the cage and wrapped around the end boards. Now Lewis will put this back in deep for Milan Lucic. He tries to fight off 3 Maple Leafs, and Riley gets stick lifted, and this will go back now to Chris Tanev. Tanev now will gain the red line. He'll just put this off the kick plate. And he'll do the same here for the Maple Leafs, but it's turned over. Tanev is the first one onto it, trying to find Huberdeau. But the pass gets canceled off by a host of Maple Leafs, and this will find Justin Hall. As Kerfoot will backhand this one over John Tavares and set up now for O'Reilly. And that was in the catching glove of Markstrom as this was pushed back out and across the neutral zone now, where the Maple Leafs can recollect with Jake McCabe. Try to flip this in long dump and across the red line to the right side of the red line. And this is picked up now by Huberdeau off the back pass. Hanifin will get this to his defensive partner, and Chris Tanev as they'll look for a stretch feed. Peltier kind of being canceled off a little bit by John Tavares as we're getting a little bit of Go Flames Go and Go Leafs Go. It's a good mix of crowd here at the Saddle Dome, and this is grabbed by Markstrom and held.
Yeah, John, lots of things that we could point out here. One of the things I want to say is that overall, I'm curious if there maybe is a strategic shift here for the Calgary Flames, because what are we not seeing from them tonight? We've seen a lot of things. We've talked about a lot. We've made a couple of different points about what they are bringing to the table. But you know what they're not doing, John? They're actually not getting a ton of shots. They only have 9 in the game. Normally, we would see at least twice as many, if not triple that by this time in their contests. But you know what they're doing? They are putting a premium on really quality scoring chances. So let's see if that continues as we're back underneath the action.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's one of the first times that you and I can actually say that, because I absolutely agree with you. Now, 3-on-2 opportunity, and Gustafsson couldn't get a stick on it. He would have been able to walk right in against Markstrom. As now the Flames will try to go the other way to Foley. With his outstretched pass, he'll find Rasmus Andersson. He's just going to battle this in between the skates and send this around the inboards now for Tyler Toffoli. He'll do the same. Well, the blue line side now are the Flames, and they'll fire this on. And this will fall back to Wall off bunting.
Yeah, so there's more of a classic Calgary Flames moment right there, where we see the defenseman shoot in from the blue line, essentially, and that was a seeing eye shot that Wall was able to target and break down and then cover up. But yeah, John, I think it's important for us to note, it's something we can stick with as we continue the broadcast, that Calgary trading their normal strategy of just shots from anywhere. It got to sound like Little John right there. Shots. But yeah, I think that whether it's Daryl Sutter or just the play of the individual Flames tonight, this is a different approach, and I'm actually refreshed by it. I like what they've brought tonight.
I think you and a lot of other Calgary fans and myself as well, for as many games as we've done, I feel like this is my second team that I've been watching as we've covered all these games, but I enjoy it tremendously as this is picked up now across the blue line. Now, a couple Flames were able to get to this puck as the Leafs actually ran into each other, and now an almost big hit on the other side was trying to be delivered there by Zadorov, I believe, as Achari was the one who had to absorb some punishment, and now try to make a play off the knees, and this will go back here to Zadorov. Zadorov with his long outstretched pass. It is a good one, as the Flames will gain the right side of the wall, trying to hold off the forehand, but this will fall to the glove of Wall, and he'll hold on.
You know what I'm reminded of, John, is a couple of games ago is when Michael Backlund all of a sudden became the villain in that game and was the target of a lot of angst and hip checks, shoulder checks, etc. Now I'm seeing for the Toronto Maple Leafs that Noel Achari seems to be the target of a lot of these hits along the wall, and Nikita Zadorov gets into it with them. There's definitely been some checking in this one, and I think it's picking up. So along the growing list of things for us to keep our eyes on, that's getting near the top of it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'd love to be a fly on the ice at the game just to hear what gets under people's skin, because it is interesting how that works from game to game. This is an outstretched pass for attempt for Nylander. Markstrom goes all the way out the plate as Gustafsson has to absorb a hit from the Flames, and now picked up off the backhand by Tavares. Maple Leafs just got to get all set up here, as Tavares is the only one that can go ahead and get to it, but now it's Ryan O'Reilly. We'll try to make a pass ahead for Tavares, but that was easily picked off by Jacob Pelletier. 13:35 left to go in the second frame. John here within the play-by-play. We'll be switching off shortly here at the halfway point. Cooper Hopkins will take it the rest of the way, and I'll take the color. It's been a good contest so far. It's 1-0. Flames got the edge with the Blake Coleman shorthanded goal. This is a potential 4-on-2, but this bounces off the back skate and goes off sides.
Yeah, John, I continue to like what I've been seeing from Jacob Pelletier. He made a really nice pass there, which normally would be a dangerous play. And yeah, we're getting the replay right there of Zadorov, who lined up Achari for a second time. So it seems to be Nikita Zadorov taking issue with the relatively diminutive number 52 in white. But what I was going to say is that the play of Jacob Pelletier has just been very strong. Mackenzie Weegar stood out in the first period. Pelletier definitely had some highlights in the first. He's had several here as well. He helped his team break out a couple of shifts ago. And the Flames, even though it hasn't been as flashy of a second period, I would say, when comparing to the first, I do still think that they have led the way here in terms of which way the ice is tilted. Again, I stay on the same line of conversation. Toronto is by no means getting blown out of the water here, but it seems like the Flames have a good grip on the game still.
Let me ask you this. This is a critical question while we're in the middle of a commercial break. Who's got to score the next goal?
Well, look, this may not come as a surprise, because when I get the chance, I'll talk about the Flames. And I'm not just leaning this way because of where my fandom lies. I think that Calgary needs to create a cushion for themselves. As much as Toronto would like to get that tying goal, they have more of a ready capability, I will say, to put up multiple goals in a short period of time. I'm not as trusting of the Flames to be able to do that. And as we've seen, listen, we're almost halfway through the second year and still just have the one goal, and we don't have an even strength goal. In fact, it was a shorty by Blake Coleman of the Flames in the first. So that's my answer. I think that Calgary needs to get the next goal to give themselves some breathing room and almost to continue to convince themselves that this level of confidence that they're showing is legitimate and they can carry it through the rest of the game.
I agree with you 100%. I just wanted to ask you that and see if we were along those same lines 13:15 left to go in the second. It's a neutral zone faceoff. Now this is back in the defensive end of Calgary, but able to play it between the legs. Off the outstretched pass, Rasmus Anderson will slap shot this thing around the end boards as this is picked up now by the Flames, and they'll get to the same spot near the right side red line. Rasmus Anderson able to absorb a hit. There's the chance for Milan Lucic. He's just trying to do his work in behind the office, and Lewis, he was going to be there, but he overskated it momentarily, been able to hold the blue line, try to fire it right on, but this goes right to a chance for Lafferty. Now David Kampf. He'd sauced it dangerously. Lafferty couldn't get there in time, though, but he's picked up now near the right side dot, trying to hold the blue line off the backhand. Wrapped around the end of the net again for Markstrom as he's holding on to that right post. And now this is a battle. This will be won by the Leafs. This is in between the circles, and it was mishandled by Matthews, picked up now by Marner as he makes a great move. Scores! Mitch Marner, a game breaker, ties it at 1.
Wow, Mitch Marner has done in the span of 5 seconds what his entire team could not do for almost half of this game, John. He just works space for himself in the offensive zone, the likes of which we have literally not seen in this contest. Not from Matthews, not from O'Reilly. Marner picks it up. He sees Rasmus Anderson back off to the slot, and he steps from one circle to another. And I'm a little surprised Markstrom wasn't able to close the 5-hole there.
Yeah.
But just a beautiful snapshot that gets through that opening and between the wickets to tie this hockey game 1-1.
Yeah, now that I see that now, I think that's a great call by you, Cooper. Again, it doesn't negate the great move, and we're not saying that. Mitch Marner, he made a goal scorer's move, but I think that's one that Markstrom could have easily stopped. When you get a little mesmerized at the stick handle as this gets iced.
Yeah, since we have an icing here, I wanted, this is what we always do, right? We already did it. We did it in the first period. Big time credits number 16 of the visitors. But Markstrom's reaction, you can tell he wanted that one back. It was not a top cheese shot. We're not talking right inside the post. It was right at him. It just happened to be at ice level. Markstrom probably wants that one back with another chance to close the pads.
So another offensive zone draw win by the Leafs. And now you got to look out here as this will get shoveled back in from Tanev to Markstrom, and they'll have to do it again.
Yeah, Chris Tanev, a little stick tap right there to say thanks to his goaltender. He got tied up, puck left between his skates, and the Toronto Maple Leafs were right there on the doorstep, just about to make it 2-1. Luckily, Markey covers up with the big trapper.
So now number 34 going to get set to take the draw. That is none other than Austin Matthews. And Elias Lindholm's on the other end. He's really good at that in the defensive draws as well. So it's a big time one for the Flames, trying to get some puck possession. And Lindholm will get this now near the wall as Chris Tanev actually got hit up near the face. But we're still live right now. Lindholm off of the one-on-one, and this shot gets blocked from the stick of Giordano. Sent around by Toffoli as the Flames play this off the backhand, and this was called. So as soon as they touch on the other end, this is going to be a penalty against Toronto.
And there is the touch right there, and guess who's going to go? It looks like Marner's going to get the gate as he is appealing, but it was pretty clear, John. We even saw it in real time, and we happen to have a good camera angle on it here from the Sportsnet side, so tip of the cap to the camera people there. But yeah, it looks like Tanev caught a stick shaft right up in the chin area, and so it's going to be 2. I did not see any blood. It should be a 2-minute minor prize sticking, and this will be, if I'm reading correctly, Flames' first power play of the evening.
Yep, so this is an important one. Again, I know that goes without saying, but you just conceded one, and the man that scored, as Cooper said, he's the one in the box. Next commercial break, we'll flip over here, and Cooper Hopkins will take you through the last 30 minutes of this contest, as this is picked up off the tie-up, and this will go with the Flames. The Flames are going to straddle that blue line with Rasmus Anderson as Tyler Toffoli makes the pass across. Now, Rasmus Anderson in the high slot where he likes to be, but that pass was just kind of a curling one, and this will go back now to Jacob Markstrom as he'll play this in behind the net for Rasmus. Now he'll look to get set to break out. Rasmus with his outstretched pass and Lindholm in full flight. Drop for Toffoli. Huberdeau, he took the shot, and that was a good save by Wall as this will go back now. It's a chance. Scores! And the Flames get the power play goal. Nazem Kadri, former Maple Leaf.
Nazem Kadri wide-eyed as he celebrates with his teammates, John. To be completely honest with you, I did not expect that shot to go in. I'm not sure if he did either, but he put some mustard on it, John Ott, and he got that one by big number 60 in the blue paint. Joseph Wall, I think he's going to feel like Markstrom. I think he might want to have that one back. Here's our replay. thinking, yep, Wall just missed it with the glove hand. I think it went right past the that sort of outside edge of the glove and into the far netting, and it is 2-1, my friend.
We're getting a challenge from Sheldon Keefe, it looks like, for offsides, Cooper.
Yep, you know what? I'm actually not completely surprised to see this. There was a bit of a collision, nothing extreme, but just some bodies came together near the Leafs blue line as the Flames made their zone entry. And I think, if I'm remembering who was on the ice correctly, it may have been Tyler Toffoli who they're looking at, who might have been bumped up ahead of the play. Let's take a look at this slow motion replay here, John, as we get it in real time. So the puck is behind a stick. And we have, I think, Toffoli at the near boards. Oh, it's going to be a close one from that angle. Looks like his left skate is still on the blue paint. Yeah, John, this should be a good goal.
I think so too. Again, we don't have to.
We're looking at Lindholm and Toffoli. That was a look at Lindholm. Sorry to cut you off. Now we're going to take a look at Toffoli. But Lindholm seems to have the rear portion of his left skate still on the blue as the puck enters the zone. Is that what you're seeing?
I see the exact same thing you just said. I feel like this goal is going to stand. We don't have to worry about any sort of puck possession rules or anything like that. It's still up in the air and the skate blade's not on the ice. This should be a quick one.
Yep, and we have referees Joe Mahon and Brian Pantich. They are coming down to center ice to make the call here. Let's see what we got, John.
See if the Flames are going to get a power play goal from Nazem Kadri. Offsides? Wow.
Oh my goodness. John, to be completely honest, I am absolutely stunned. Another look at this right here. I was fully expecting this to be a good goal, as we see Lindholm was maybe the one in question there. We didn't really get a full blue line view of this one, but wow, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to win that challenge. And believe it or not, this game remains tied. I'm quite surprised.
Unless they have a look on the iPad or some other view in the Situation Room, and we're not trying to be biased or anything else, we're going to tell you as we see it. I don't know what else that they're looking at that we didn't see, because that seems like that should be a definitive goal, but it was a quick review. So it's 1-1. Nazem Kadri's power play goal is negated, but the power play still has a minute 25 left to work with, as the Flames will try to get some more life, but the life has been given to the Maple Leafs, essentially. They were 0 for 3 in the power play against Boston, but that was against Linus Ullmark. This is Joseph Woll. So now Rasmus Andersson, his pass, will go for one of the Flames, but gets sent all the way back down the ice from Markstrom. He's near the left faceoff dot. He's just continuing to stick handle this thing. And now he's going to leave it for Rasmus one more time. As this is picked up in between a couple of players, and now Elias Lindholm's going to have to try to get this off the chase. Former Flame TJ Brody, as this gets picked up in the high slot again, and the shot gets blocked. Michael Bunting absolutely took one in the chest, as this one got cleared all the way down. That's a diving shot block, and that's a Warrior. That's why you play hockey. 40 seconds left to go in the Calgary Flames power play. They thought they scored one. They're going to try to get another one right now. Michael Backlund will send this one back for Hanifin, as this is a chance off the back pass. Dubé's a little bit too far, and this could be a shorthanded opportunity for Ryan O'Reilly. And now a chance for McCabe. Oh, and Kerfoot sent it wide, and a wide open net to shoot at. 10:05 left to go in the second. The Flames dodge a big bullet as they gain the entry. It's Majapani. Majapani needs some help near the right side of the wall, and Peltier's pass goes all the way back down. And when we do get another stoppage, I will flip this over to Cooper Hopkins. The power play does end. 9:45 left to go in the second. It could be 2-2 in this situation on that side of it, as Lucic will fire this in around the inboards. And this is picked up now by Marner. And now Walker Dewar will try to get to it with Riley. This outstretched pass gets across the red line up in the players' bench. Take it, Cooper.
John, I just want to say one thing before I go to the play-by-play side, and thanks for handing it off to me. That was a save by Markstrom on McCabe. That was off of his left elbow, then his left knee. Then the puck hovering in the air is knocked away by Noah Hanifin. That is a massive moment in this game right there. Markstrom answers the bell. He keeps this game tied. What a save. Markstrom showing some of the magic that he had all season long and hasn't really been able to find this year, but he does it right there. That is a huge save as the puck went to the trailer. That's what the Flames had trouble with against the Bruins. And the Maple Leafs make a smart pass. Markstrom is just up to the task. What a stop.
Yes, he is. That was a great save. Grayson says, how's everybody doing tonight? We're doing well. Cooper Hopkins is going to take you through the back half of this portion. It's a tie hockey game right now. We thought Nazem Kadri scored on the power play, but Sheldon Keefe won the challenge, and this game stays at 1-1. This is a big, monumental 2 points for the Calgary Flames once again tonight, and I went on record, so it's going to be all my fault if it goes the other way. I said Calgary's going to take the 2. No overtime point for the Maple Leafs. Let's get it done tonight. We'll see what happens.
Yes, we will. And John, we talked about this when we were going up and down the scoreboard during our first intermission. Was hoping for the neighbors to the west, if you're a Flames fan, the Canucks, to take care of business against the Wild, but so far they are not doing that. Just about halfway through the first, Minnesota leads by a score of 1-0.
So the other thing I didn't mention during the deadline portion of our first, I can mention it now. I think it was a third-round pick that they sent over from the Blue Jackets to the Wild to get Gus Nyquist. He should be ready to go if the Wild make the postseason. That's the plan, at least.
Great, thank you for clarifying. Also, a little bit of a clarification for me. That former Flames defenseman who has actually had a good stint this year in his first year with the Arizona Coyotes, that is Juuso Valimaki, whose name I forgot initially. So just wanted to clear that one up.
That is a heck of a name. I don't know how you didn't tongue twist yourself on that, Cooper. Excellent job.
Thank you. It's some of the Scandinavian names I find myself with a strange skill, John. So maybe it makes me suited. That's probably part of the reason why we're so good at calling these games. Is here comes Andrew Mangiapane, just misses the net. That one I think went off of the left skate of Wall. Boy, I'm taking the play-by-play. I can't even tell a story, John. I got to jump right into action. Now it's down low. Puck is loose. Flames were jamming away. That was Backlund who had a chance. The puck kind of slid between his skates, though, so not a clean shot. We are now inside 9 minutes to go here in the second. Cooper Hopkins now on the play-by-play along with John Ott, who will take analysis through the rest of this contest. And, if you watch Flames games, this probably is going to overtime one way or another. Now, Andrew Mangiapane tries one from the high slot. He whiffs. Then Coleman backhands, and that's a blocker save by Wall. So the Flames are all over their opponents right now. Good stick lift by number 88, Mangiapane, and the Flames will hold the zone. So a long shift here for the Toronto Maple Leafs, getting into the 90-second plus range as now they have the puck, and they'll try to chip this one out, and the puck will bounce to the Flames side of the ice. Calgary moving left to right here in the second. The Toronto Maple Leafs moving right to left on your radio dial. The shot board, John, getting a little closer. 17 for Toronto, now 15 for the Flames. As Mackenzie Weegar, who's looked good tonight, he'll pass that one up to Dylan Dubé. Gets chipped in, and now it's at the near corner on the stick of former Flames captain Mark Giordano. So here comes Toronto the other way, but it's turned over. Now a chance for Weegar, and he gets stoned! Down low, he tries to chip it over the pad, and Wall makes the glove save. Still 1-1.
Well, it's nice. From as many times as we've talked about Mackenzie Weegar, we've been able to say his name at least 5 times in this broadcast, all within a positive light, as it was Mangiapane off the first. This goes off the right pad. It was just a series of backhands. And now as we're getting a couple of feeds, it was Hanifin from Backlund on the doorstep. Coleman trying to get his second there with Tanev. A slap shot loose out in front. Ever since this commercial break, the first 2:30 from coming back from it have been all Flames.
Boy, John, I'm not saying that the Calgary Flames have just split the switch here and become a different team. And now, as we get back from the highlight package, Hall has gone for Hopkins. So the Flames now, after going 0-1, after going over on their first power play, they're right back with the man advantage. They have a minute 45 to work here with the extra man on the ice, 7:40 to go in the second. So there was a hook there on that Mackenzie Weegar shot attempt that was saved by Wall. And here the Flames are working in their offensive zone. In the last 4 games, they're just under 30% of the power play as the puck's down low on the stick of Elias Lindholm. He gets worked over right there by his former teammate TJ Brody. Lindholm down on the ice, but the puck is under the glove of Wall.
So I can say the same thing that we talked about in this first period. I'm glad to see it again in the second, as Lindholm had a screen out in front looking for a tip opportunity. Actually got the backhand to get pummeled by McCabe. But the point is this: the Flames have been able to willingly get down low on the power play, even strength, get in the dirty areas and try to score. That's not something they haven't been able to say a lot. They've looked good in this game.
Yeah, John, that's what I was saying about flipping the switch. I'm not saying that the Flames are going to do this, into the foreseeable future. But tonight, they just are putting a premium on high-quality scoring chances. And there's another shot right there that gets deflected but goes wide of Wall's net. But the Flames doing a good job of holding the zone right here. So the puck's going to rattle around in the far corner, and it's held in just barely. Nope, it's going to make its way out. But either way, I thought that we might get whistled down for offside here, but the puck ended up on the stick of one of the Leafs defenders, and they clear the ice with half of this penalty killed. 58 seconds to go on the advantage for the home team. So here comes Nazem Kadri, who we thought scored earlier, and the play was reviewed, and somehow, some way, was called offside, even though that did not appear to be the case. Now Tyler Toffoli in the near corner, he does a nice job getting puck possession, gets the puck back, chips it along for Elias Lindholm. But Lindholm, he gets checked off the puck by Schenn, and Schenn is able to clear this one all the way down. So with 6:30 to go here in the second in this 1-1 hockey game, a huge one for Calgary, as basically all of the rest of their games will be down the stretch. The Flames now have the puck in the trapezoid behind Wall, and the pass goes to Backlund. Second unit on the ice here for this Flames power play. Puck on Noah Hannafin's stick. Now it's over to, I believe that's Jacob Pelche. But the puck is picked up by the Toronto Maple Leafs and cleared down. The Flames may have time for one more rush here as Markstrom's out of his net. He leaves it for Hannafin, but only 5 seconds remain on the hooking penalty to Justin Hall. So here comes Dylan Dubé. Dylan Dubé on his forehand goes to the far wall. It's going to knock this one back around behind Wall's net. Now Mangiapane looks to pick up a loose puck, but there's Hall who's out of the box. And Toronto comes back the other way with room to work. 2-on-2. Here's Matthews. A good give and go play. And that one's off the bar, I believe, John. I think that went off the post. It looked to me from that angle that it was behind Markstrom. Either way, it just stayed out. There's a slapper. Markstrom slides right to left, makes a big save. He has looked good for the most part tonight, John. And a big clearance right there. The Flames had no choice but to ice this thing as the Leafs were all over him.
Holy cow, Marner and Matthews. That was a gorgeous play. And the offensive zone, a little bit of stick lift there for Matthews, dropped right back off to his partner. And that ripped the left post and somehow stayed out. That was gorgeous, Cooper.
Boy, I almost wish that I had the volume up in my feed for that one. That must have rang like a church bell, my friend. And the Flames make an important face-off, get an important face-off win in their own end right there. So good D-zone face-off draw right there for Calgary. 5:15 to go here in the second. Walker Duehr in the fourth line out for Calgary. Boy, Riley right there just works him over, pushes him at the end boards. Now some room for Zadorov. We said he likes to act like a forward sometimes. Gets that puck in to the slot, and Milan Lucic just banging away until Wall covers up for the stoppage.
Well, you think about it, they're having some words with Matthews and Lucic. You don't want to go with Lucic because Curtis McDermott, ever since I last talked to you, he missed the last few games with a concussion, and no doubt because of the overhand right.
Yeah, no question about it. Milan Lucic was one of the cleanest fight victories I've ever seen in a hockey fight. And listen, I mean, John, you're covering all levels of hockey. We've talked about broadcast the IIHF. I mean, you're all over the place. Am I crazy? That was one of the cleanest KOs, so to speak. I'm doing air quotes, but one of the cleanest knockout punches I've ever seen in a hockey fight.
Yes, it was. It was nothing short of a beauty, that punch.
And McDermott is, and listen, and I want to give credit to the Sirius XM hosts who were chatting about the fight. I think just yesterday or 2 days ago they talked about that bout between McDermott and Lucic, and one of the hosts was saying, McDermott is the quote unquote heavyweight champ of the NHL, and then his partner said, "Are you sure? Did you see what happened to him? I think Lucic has the belt."
Yeah.
So Milan Lucic, you can say what you want. As we noted before, Flames fans they've struggled. I think by and large, Flames fans are happy that Milan Lucic is on Calgary's roster. But boy, after that fight, you see that he still brings a lot of heavyweight talent to every game.
Yeah, and absolutely. And again, as we talk about what can be going into next year, it's very possible, unless Lucic wants to hang up the skates or do something else, that he can come back on a heavy side discount. So.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. And, in all of these moves that we've talked about, we didn't necessarily talk as much about cap hits and contracts, but those are all things that are going to be factored in. And, these teams that are making this year, it's going to affect the way they move forward into the future. So for now, in this near future, we're hoping in the next 5 minutes or so, if you're a Flames fan, that Calgary and their blasty jerseys can get one more. There's a sharp angled shot right there from Coleman. He's had a couple of opportunities tonight, more than that, in fact, 3 or 4, if I'm counting correctly. And now the shot board is even at 18. We're back underway here at the Saddle Dome. John Otten, Cooper Hopkins here with you. And the Flames get the puck back at neutral ice as a Leaf shot went well wide of Markstrom's net and bounced all the way to the red line. So Calgary actually, now the shot board has been corrected. It's 20-18. Calgary in the lead on the shots for the first time in this game. Now Mangiapane going to drop this puck off for Backlund, but the Leafs have numbers back. But Backlund fires a great wrister right there. Requires Wall to make a good glove save. He's got enough time to leave it for O'Reilly, who skates up the near wall. But Weegar will take over, although he's bounced off the puck right there by number 15, Alexander Kerfoot. So it's backhanded along by David Kemp. And the Flames will take over momentarily and then chip this off the glass. Huberdeau chasing down. They think there is an icing. Yes, and it's going to be Hall who just beats Huberdeau down the ice for the icing call.
So as you've noted, now it's 21-18 on the shot board with 4:02 left in the second in the tie game. Is this going to still remain where Calgary continues to work the puck down low, or are they going to go back to their old ways? Because I like the way they've played through this first 40 minutes right now, but they do need to get this next goal.
Yes, they do, and you read my mind, my friend. Now we're really in sync because that is the thought that just went through my brain. I'm happy that the Flames are getting more shots on goal here, but quality over quantity needs to be the order of the day, and that was not a quality face-off right there by Nazem Kadri as the Maple Leafs take over, just keep it into the blue line after a shot down low that was turned aside by Markstrom. Now a big wraparound attempt by none other than number 34, Austin Matthews. So that was a skill play right there, and it's turned aside. Now coming the other way is Jacob Pelche, and he had to pick up a pass right there in the near corner, but couldn't get it centered. So with 3:30 to go, here comes Toronto from right to left. Puck is on Chris Tanev's stick. He's going to shovel that one over to his defensive pairing teammate, and Huberdeau tried to deflect that along, but wasn't able to do so. He'll go off for a change as the Flames have it in their own end. Here comes Chris Tanev on the forehand. Snaps this one up the boards right here. It is deflected, I believe, by Tyler Toffoli near the Toronto blue line, but Toronto will pick up, and a stretch pass is connected to Bunting. Gilbert now, that third pairing is on for the Flames. Gilbert doing a good job right there. Markstrom has to turn around into the trapezoid area and put the big glove on the puck to get a stoppage. John, I think for the first time in this game, with the goal by Marner notwithstanding, this is some sustained pressure from the visitors, is it not?
Yes, it is. They're finally starting to get their skating legs underneath them again. 3 games in 4 nights, tons of different D pairs, tons of different forwards that they're trying to acquiesce in, and Sheldon Keefe is rolling lines. And Austin Matthews, that was an exaggerated wrap. That was a good save.
It was a good save. Markstrom, like I said, has looked, for the most part, other than, well, unfortunately, the goal where, you'd think he'd like to have that one back to get the 5-hole closed. He's looked very, very good tonight. Has made some great stops. So Toffoli was in on the forecheck right there, but Toronto comfortably gets this out of their own end. Now the puck is loose near the flaming sea, and a 45-degree angle pass right there from Dylan Dubé isn't connected. It bounces off the wall and is cleared out by Toronto. Now a couple of players go down. That looked like maybe a Chari right there. It could have been Giordano, not sure, but somebody was down for the Leafs as well as the Calgary Flames, but no injuries, no worse for wear. We play on. Now the puck is at the far corner to the left of Jacob Markstrom with 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go here in this 1-1 hockey game at the Scotiabank Saddle Dome in Calgary, Alberta. In the Blasties tonight are the Calgary Flames, and Trevor Lewis does a little warm-up action right there. He was trying to juggle the puck on his stick, and the puck was taken away, I should say, by Mark Giordano. Now Giordano canceled out by Lewis, so a bit of a back and forth right there. Now here comes Toronto, but the Flames have 3 back to Toronto's 2. Chris Tanev doing a good job of checking right there. He takes Yarncroke out of the play and actually ties him up for a minute, but Toronto will hold it in at the far point. And now backhand pass out in front. It's bouncing around, and the puck was held in the blue paint on Noah Hannifin's backhand. Markstrom will cover up, and now Noah Hannifin giving a face wash and a little bit of a jersey grab to his former teammate, Calle Yarncroke.
Welcome back to the party, Keller. You're going to have to take some of that punishment. We see right now most points in the first 800 games won the 2009 draft class. Nazem Kadri with 557. That's elite company alongside John Tavares, 757, and Ryan O'Reilly, 558. There could be some Hall of Famers in those graphics.
Yes, indeed. Kadri wants that goal, not just to get his team in the lead, or that goal back, I should say, that was taken off the board. But then he'd be tied with his draft classmate Ryan O'Reilly, who he's playing against tonight. That'd be an interesting stat right there. And Tavares, another interesting stat. He is 11 for 13. Make that 11 for 14 on faceoffs, though. After the Flames get the win, the puck bounces right back to Toronto, and now look out, it's on Austin Matthews' stick. So he's on his forehand at the far circle. He's going to hold this at the half boards, looking for a teammate to pass to, going to drop it off. Now here comes a snapshot, that one bounces across. I think it might have hit it back in front of Markstrom. Don't think Jacob Markstrom is required to make a save there, but Tavares tries to chip this one down low. I thought the puck was heading out of play for a moment, but it stays in high off the glass. Now turned around and sent back down low. Markstrom has to slide and paddle that puck to the near wall. Austin Matthews on his shift, looking very good. He kept possession momentarily, but Calgary will take over with just over 1 minute to play here in the second period. Things seesawing back and forth on the shot count, John. It's now 23-21. The Toronto Maple Leafs in the lead. So the puck was on Ryan O'Reilly's stick, but the Flames doing a good job of just keeping their basic checks, and they get the puck right back. Now it's at the Flaming Sea at center ice. Puck bouncing now. Here's Dylan Dubé on his backhand. He circles back around, leaves for Tanev, and now bouncing puck and a stretch pass. It's a breakaway. Here comes Toronto, and Markstrom makes a huge save on William Nylander. He keeps this game tied. He's been clutch all night, John. We'll talk about it at the intermission coming up just 26 seconds from now. Here comes Toronto once again, though. It's Riley. He's got it to Lafferty. Lafferty swings this one around. The puck now in the far corner. Now going down to the ice is Ryan O'Reilly. Looked like it could have been a trip right there, but no hands in the air. Toronto coming the other way while the Flames are on a change. Let's see if they have numbers back. Yes, they do. 8 seconds to go here. Puck bouncing to Markstrom's left. It's held by Toronto. Will they get a shot off? No. The puck is now on the Flame stick, and it's Huberdeau who will carry this out. And the horn sounds, John, just 20 minutes of regulation left. Jacob Markstrom with his biggest save of the night, just seconds before we hit the break.
Man, what you said was a prelude of what could have happened over the last 4 minutes. It's William Nylander off an outstretched pass. He's all alone. He's been the Maple Leafs' best goal scorer all season, arguably. And Markstrom, he didn't bite off the fake slap shot off a couple pivots. He made a wonderful save, and that is one you can absolutely mark down as far as a reason why the Maple Leafs should have the lead, but Markstrom shut the door.
Well, John, just as you were giving those comments, we saw several angles of that huge save by Markstrom. And on the very last one, kind of an ice-level camera angle that looked up into the crowd in the background, everyone was on their feet. They knew something special was going to happen one way or another. And if you're a Flames fan like me, you can probably hear it in my voice. I still have a smile on my face. Jacob Markstrom looks like he did a season ago, John. This is a different Flames team all of a sudden than we've seen over the past, 6-8 contests that we've covered of theirs.
So I know on the Sportsnet side, it's Rick Bull and Kelly Hurdy, and Kelly Hurdy was mentioning this. He thinks Jacob Markstrom is going to get the back half of this 23-24 games, so that's left in the season. He's going to get the majority of these games. He's going to start to get hot, and he's going to have to be the reason why Calgary can push themselves back in the playoffs. And I can say that I wholeheartedly agree. And this is the best that he's looked since we've covered any of these games.
Yeah, John, and listen, you got to take the word of a former goaltender, a high-level player like Kelly Hurdy. I mean, he is a great commentator. I like him a lot, and I happen to agree with him. And part of the reason why I agree with him, we can take it at face value and say, yep, I just believe that he is right. That is true, but also we can sort of support that opinion by looking at the play of Dan Vladar. And I don't want to be overly negative, and I think it's easy to be. It's easy to compare and say, okay, Markstrom's having a great game tonight, and by comparison, could Dan Vladar do what Jacob Markstrom's doing tonight? Maybe. But let's take tonight out of the equation and just look at Vladar's last performances. He has been decent for the Flames, but he has absolutely been given the opportunity by Daryl Sutter and the staff there to take that top spot and really lock it down. And what he didn't do, John, he did not lock it down. So that says enough to me. And Daryl Sutter, who's usually pretty close-lipped with the media, keeps things close to the vest. He basically said outright what Kelly Hurdy was echoing, that Markstrom's going to get a big opportunity here to get back into form find his game and change the fortunes of his team. And man, he's doing that tonight.
Yeah, I think you have to, and I think this is going to be a showcase game. I mean, look, you got you got Toronto, you got Minnesota upcoming. We talked about that, Dallas and the Minnesota again, and look at it on the other end. If we just go through the goaltending matchup, we know Wall today, and he's looked decent for what he's had. But you'll have Gustafsson on one end, and then Jake Ottinger and Gustafsson again. And Gustafsson's around like a 185 right now, and Jake Ottinger, he's sub 2. So this is going to be goaltending mano y mano right now. So when we're already having to chew on our fingernails, and I'm not as athletic to be able to chew on my toenails, but for Christ's sake, I mean, these games are going to be close as we always expected.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And man, I just can't imagine what it's like for the Flames fans tonight in the building as we see the Sportsnet feed interviewing John Hamm, who is up in Alberta, I think shooting a new TV series. And boy, names have been escaping me tonight. I feel like I should remember that one. But either way,
Fargo.
There's oh, thank you. Yes, I mean, one word, John. What's wrong with me? My brain is. I'm so rattled by all of the breakaways and the chances that Mark's protected.
I don't blame you.
I got to get settled back in. But this is interesting to see a diehard St. Louis Blues fan in John Hamm, who's taking in what happens to be a really, really good hockey game tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone that's got a pay ticket right now, I always like to say that I'm jealous. Let's look at the scoreboard. As far as what we have right now, it looks like the Canucks have tied this one up, and this could be going 1-1 after one. It was Kirill Kaprizov with his 38th, and then Brock Besser, he's still a Vancouver Canuck, but the question is, how long? He scored at 14:03 on the power play.
It's true. Could tonight be the last game of Brock Besser in from Vancouver? That would be quite an interesting development. And you know what? Let's put the question to you, John. You got my thoughts on some of these transactions, and this is, of course, one that has not yet happened, but may happen. First of all, do you think it will happen? And if so, let's just have some fun. Where do you think he will end up on the map?
Trying to think who really desperately needs goal scoring in the playoff chase. Because if I say if it's going to happen, the one thing I'll throw out there and the obvious is it might have to be like a 50% salary retention. Because I believe Brock Besser's at least north of $7 million. I don't have all the stuff in front of me right now. But as Nashville looks to continue to sell and St. Louis is out of it, we can say that that's the case. I don't believe this, but for the Oilers making all the moves that they've made, is Ken Holland sensing the pressure? Is he going to go to Edmonton?
Well, they made a move, and that's one that I personally think was a really shrewd one. And are they going to, not to the degree that the New York Rangers have been adding to their team, but are they going to, and by they, I mean the Oilers, are they going to push all their chips in? Would they make a huge play like that for Besser? The reason why I hesitate to think that they will is because even though they're top heavy, I think that they have enough scoring ability, and I think they have every reason to trust that Connor McDavid's godlike play will continue. I mean, why would you believe anything otherwise? I mean, he's proven it time and time again. He's proven it in the playoffs. He's only getting better as we get closer to the end of the regular season. You can only imagine that's just going to continue. So scoring, who doesn't want scoring depth? Who doesn't want somebody like Brock Besser? But yeah, I'm thinking, hey, I would think that the Calgary Flames would have an eye on him if it weren't for the money and term. And so you make a very good point about his salary situation, because the Flames and their cap space, I think, would take them out of the Brock Besser sweepstakes, if you will.
I'll keep this quick, like 15, 20 seconds or less. But when I'm trying to look at the Western Conference teams, when you have Winnipeg, Seattle, LA Kings, Vegas, Minnesota Wild already kind of made some of their moves. Dallas has really yet to make a move. That would be interesting. But Colorado's probably out of it too. That's why I struggled and said Edmonton.
Yeah, you know what, though? I mean, I think that by you mentioning that, you have almost walked us into a really interesting thought. And now Dallas all of a sudden stands out to me as a potential destination. And you would think that Besser could potentially – now, I don't have the strongest grasp of the entire roster of the Stars, but could he potentially slot in on the second line, or do you think that he might end up on the third line if he were to head to Dallas?
Well, so the first line that we all know about as far as Pavelski, Hinson, Robertson, that's pretty much locked up, correct? So you're
Right,
not moving
right.
that. And then they'll mix Ben and Sagan on the second line. So I could see a second line mix on that, or I could see a third, but not fourth.
Right, yeah, definitely not. You don't want to make that kind of investment and then bury him and have him playing 6 minutes and 15 seconds every night. Yeah, that is an intriguing one. And it also makes me think about, of course, we talk about Ottinger and how many times, John, and you and I referenced the sort of his coming out party in the series against the Calgary Flames when he basically single-handedly carried Dallas to the 7th game there and almost took Dallas on to the next round. And now he's maintained that level of play and is having a fantastic season as well. And I know dealt with some injury issues, but is back in form. But yeah, I mean, that's as we talk about Besser, it makes me think about the Stars, and I'm sure whether or not they can make it work is another story, just like with the Flames. But I think he would be an interesting and a good fit on Dallas.
Let me ask you one more of those, and then I have a team in mind to talk about real quick, if you don't mind. But Erik Karlsson, he's the other big name. He's got a boatload of points there for the San Jose Sharks, having a career resurgence here. He looks like his former Ottawa Senator self. Problem with that is he's got about a $10.5 million cap hit. Any chance that you believe Erik Karlsson's going to get moved?
You know what? We could talk about this at length, but to me, it's pretty simple. And just because of the reason that you mentioned, even though he is playing out of his mind this year, I think he will remain a San Jose Shark. That's what I have also been seeing in the media. So potentially my belief on that is slightly influenced by insiders elsewhere. But no, I think that the money may be too difficult to make it work. We'll see what happens in the off season. Maybe a package of players for players might make it more realistic. But for a playoff stretch, for some reason, I just don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so either. And then there's another team that I just want to talk about real quick, and then we can just shoot whatever you want to there. But the Florida Panthers, and the reason I mention this, because Boston Bruins are having a historic year. They now have 101 points in the season. They're the first to the century mark. A lot of teams don't get there as far as the standings. So the Bruins, Maple Leafs, Lightning, Hurricanes, Devils, Rangers have all loaded up. And now Pittsburgh has 71 points, the Islanders have 70, and the Florida Panthers have 66. They kind of made their trade acquisitions when they can, and you know them very well because a lot of that happened in the offseason between both of the GMs. The Florida Panthers get into the postseason after winning the President's Trophy last year?
You know what, John? I can't believe I'm saying this, especially with former Flame Matthew Tkachuk having the kind of year that he's having. I actually don't think we're going to see them in the postseason this year. I just think the way the East is shaking out and the teams ahead of them, the moves they're making, the streaks that some teams are on, I think it's too tall of a task for the Panthers. And this is what's wild. Now listen, we all expected Johnny Gaudreau, stature aside, cannot single-handedly lift a team like the Columbus Blue Jackets to the playoffs. He's also having a solid season.
Mm-hmm.
Not as exciting necessarily as last year, but definitely performing well for his new team. Matthew Tkachuk having an excellent year. And the team around him not able to match his level of play. And the Flames right here on the bubble as they've been now for a number of weeks. There's a chance, John, that every team involved in those blockbuster trades, when we talk about Weegar, Huberdeau, Tkachuk, Gaudreau, each one of those teams may be sitting at home or out on the golf course, whichever they prefer, when it comes time for the Stanley Cup playoffs to start. So that's an interesting and almost unbelievable thought.
Did you ever think that would ever be the case? Did that ever cross your mind at the start of the year?
Well, I was a believer in the hype, and I think there's no other term for it. And it doesn't mean that it can't turn into something real. And I'm talking about the Flames. There was so much hype that, we got to the point, John, you and I were having discussions, as was everyone. Are the Flames actually better after having Gaudreau and Tkachuk shipped out of town? I think, believe it or not, even at this point of the year, I think that's still yet to be determined. If they would have gotten the same level of goaltender play that they got a season ago, I'd be very curious to see where they are or would have been in the standings just in terms of point totals, but that's not the case. Chemistry was an issue for a while. And with Kachuk's play in Florida and the talent that they still had on that roster, you would have thought that they would have continued as a playoff team. But to me, and that's again still an opinion, they may end up in there. The Flames may end up in there, and maybe all things will right themselves, and it will just be the Columbus Blue Jackets that obviously will not be making the playoffs. But it's just wild to think. And no, I certainly did not think that would be the case, that all three of those teams would be sitting at home.
Yeah, I would have lost my money on that bet side. So the one last thing for me, the trade deadline's tomorrow. Calgary Flames, we know that we think that they might stand pat. If you can make one move, Cooper, and make it happen, whether it fits in the cap or not, what would you do?
Well, we talked about him so much, and I joked about it earlier about the frequency of trading between the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames. But Brock Besser, I think, would, as much as I love and have hope for players like Adam Ruzicka, who had a nice stretch several months ago in the season, those aren't the names that you really want to rely on when it comes to this time of year, especially when you're pushing for a playoff spot. Obviously, Besser would be a massive upgrade. It's not going to work money-wise, but for the bullet points of this exercise, that's going to be the name that I go to. And I just want to tack this on, John. This is totally separate, but I think from just a couple of hours ago, when we were talking about Dallas just a moment ago, guess who's headed from the Blackhawks to Dallas? Max Domi and goaltender Dylan Wells headed to the Dallas Stars for Hudobin and a second-round pick.
Hold on. Hudobin is getting moved? The guy that was the hero during the playoff bubble?
That is correct. You're so good at this, John, that before you even knew about the news, you wanted to talk about the Dallas Stars, and with good reason. That's correct. So I'll go one more time. Max Domi and Dylan Wells going to the Dallas Stars for Hudobin and a second-round pick. And that was reported first by the Daily Face-Off. Interesting one, as Domi is a pending UFA, and Chicago not retaining any of his $3 million cap hit is what I'm seeing here. So 18 goals and 31 assists in 60 games this year. He could make a difference for the Stars.
That's a win for Dallas. That's a good job by Jim Nill.
That's a very good job, yeah. And so, they may not be able to get a Besser, and they obviously had their eyes set on someone else. And with the situation in Chicago, sell. There goes Max Domi. That's a pretty big one right there.
I know I talked about a little bit in the first intermission. We went through Taves and Kane and everything else, but for Davidson, I know what it was for Domi and Anthony Ciu and some of these other players, but you had to believe that they were going to get more back than they did. It kind of just seems like their road to get back to normalcy here is going to take a little longer than I think everybody expected if you're a Blackhawks fan.
Yeah, and we've talked about them quite a bit, and the state of affairs there remain challenging, to put it gently. It's just going to be a tough road, and I think they can't really restart now that almost unbelievably Patty Kane is wearing a different color, and I think with the Taves situation, I think you almost have to clear the deck completely. And that's going to be a tough one for him with the long COVID symptoms, and obviously we want him to be well. But yeah, Chicago has some hard decisions ahead, but they're making the right ones here. You want to get some pieces back, but you definitely also want to get draft capital as well.
Yeah, you do. When I think about all the other picks, let's just be honest here. I know it's a different team, and I'm switching gears back to Dallas. What was it, in the 2017 draft, all in their first round? They actually got Jason Robertson in the second round, but they drafted Heiskanen, Ottinger, and Jason Robertson all in that same draft. So these picks mean a lot.
Yeah, they certainly do. Boy, what a run right there. Those are some pretty impressive names. Man, that's a home run draft as well. We gave all the credit to Stevie Y. And John, remind me, you just said the name a moment ago, but the GM in Dallas, that's a haul right there.
Yeah, Jim Nill was the assistant for the Red Wings.
Oh, well, then no wonder. It all comes back to the wing wheel. They call it Hockey Town for a reason. It's the epicenter of the hockey universe. And so all good things in the hockey world lead back to Detroit, apparently.
So we're looking at Jacob Peltier right now, and I love the highlights and the energy in the skating display. That's what I'm talking about with him pumping up Huberdeau. I love that.
Yeah, he's a special player, and you know what? Just to see the joy on his face, and he's had a number of games now with the big club here, and he certainly fits in. He's got the skill level, he's got the energy, but that glow in his eye. And right now, he's putting his arm around Michael Backlund. They're talking strategy, taking a little sip from the BioSteel bottle. I wonder if Peltier might be able to break through and get one big one for the Flames tonight as we head into the third period here, getting a look at the intense stare from Jacob Markstrom and more of a pensive look in the eyes of Joseph Wall. On the other side, good shots, good camera work by the Sportsnet crew. And the puck has been dropped here with fresh ice at the Saddle Dome. We are seconds into the third period. Cooper Hopkins on the play-by-play along with John Ott. Broadcast partners back at it again. These teams aren't at it for the moment as play was whistled down just 8 seconds into the third, John.
So Sheldon Keefe, he said we played with a cluelessness and we lacked intensity against the game against the Edmonton Oilers. We'll see how they finish off the rest of this game. But harsh words from the bench boss.
Yeah, I think trying to, no pun intended, anytime I say anything about heat or fire, it's always a pun when it comes to the Calgary Flames. But that's what's needed for these Maple Leafs. And the puck is sent from the Flames end of the ice. And they are moving right to left in this third period. Toronto moving left to right in their road white and blue jerseys. Flames in their black blasty reverse retros. Yeah, John, but lighting a fire is important, and the Flames need to keep their fire lit. Big surprise here. As usual, they are in a tight contest. It is 1-1, and so much is on the line for these Flames in every match they play through the rest of the regular season. So here we go with the puck on the stick of Michael Bunting. That was a 58, not a 56, and play is whistled dead here. We got a nice shot of the Calgary skyline. I'm being sold to Toyota, John. I'm not sure if you are as well, but we have a stoppage either way.
Same as me, and again, I'm going to go ahead and have to sweat my prediction because I put myself on the line today for a full 2 points for the Calgary Flames, and it's another one-goal contest yet again.
That's right. We're going to be nail-biting all the way to the end, I believe, and Michael Backlund now has an opportunity in the ozone face-off, and he won it, but they're going to do this one again. I think Backlund's getting whistled out of the circle, and it looks like Blake Coleman, the lefty, will step in, and he will face the famed Austin Matthews. So a bit of a choppy start here with several whistles, but we're now just about a minute in. Flames win that face-off, though it's bouncing around. Nice job by Marner, who's falling down. He backhands that one in the direction of Matthews. Now the puck is loose. It's inside the Flames zone. The referees are up on the boards right there. And the puck is being battled for by several of the Toronto Maple Leafs, including Matthews and Bunting, and Chris Tanev as well, who actually comes away. It was sort of a 1-on-3. Now Blake Coleman stick handles, looks for a pass right there. I think he was tripped. But, John, I'm not sure we're going to get a call. The puck is being possessed by Calgary. Let's keep an eye on it. But I think we're just going to play on. And there's a shot from a very sharp angle from the far wall. Now it's on Mackenzie Weegar's stick. That shot from the sharp angle went off of Wall's shoulder. So that is a shot on goal. And now the centering attempt to Michael Backlund goes awry. Blake Coleman being canceled out there on the glass by Bunting. Seems like Bunting's been out for a long shift right here. We'll keep an eye on things and try to detect whether or not the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to change here. It looks like they will. It's a one-on-one race the other way. Mackenzie Weegar tries to step around Bunting. Again, Bunting's name, it just seems like he's been out there for the last 2 minutes, which basically would be the entirety of this third period so far. Now, finally, he steps through the gate and back onto the players' bench. 24 shots for the Toronto Maple Leafs, 22 for the Calgary Flames. We are tied at 1-1, courtesy of a shorthanded goal from Blake Coleman, and then a beauty of a goal by Marner. And there's a shot, and it's through Markstrom, and the puck is going to be called in, John. The shot from Morgan Riley, coming streaking through the Flames defense, bouncing around, and they're going to say that he knocked it in, John.
Wow, that was a terrific pass by the Flames. I think Kelly Armstrong might also get a primary assist. I want to take a look at it. So right down the middle of the ice and diving across was Markstrom, and then flipping it out of the air, I believe was Kelly Armstrong, who said he wanted to keep him out of the scoreboard. I think he might be getting the goal.
Oh my, John, Callie Yarncroke making me look foolish as he made a beautiful play right there. And what credit. That is Morgan Riley looking like Nikita Zadorov. I say that partially jokingly. That's the D-man coming in on a partial breakaway. Markstrom, again, having trouble with the 5-hole. That's where Marner's goal was in the first period. Or the second, I should say, or forget when it was. But my goodness, I'm just flustered right now because I think the Flames feel similarly. Callie Yarncroke comes up to clean the rebound and lifts it over the glove of a down and out Jacob Markstrom. The puck is, I believe, over the line before the net comes off its mooring. I know that's a bit of a lengthy explanation, but that's what happened in my mind. John, are you seeing the same thing?
I am, and again, I wanted to give credit to Markstrom as far as the spectacular save across, but as you said, it bled through the rebound. He couldn't get the control, and that's what led to the goal.
My goodness, so a bit of a stunner right here, and unfortunately, it falls in line with what has happened to the Flames so many times this season. They really have dominated quite a bit of this game. The Maple Leafs made a very good push in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the second period. But that's going to be lucky number 13 on the season for Callie Yarncroke, who keeps streaking in the assists to Riley and Nylander, and it is now a 2-1 hockey game. And other than that shorthanded goal from Coleman, the Flames have had a ton of good chances. But, and John, we say this so often, nothing to show for it. So we are now 3 minutes into the third period. It's a 2-on-2. Here come the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the puck was on the stick of Achari. Now it's held by Noah Hannafin. The Flames trying to get it out of there with Chris Tanev on the puck as well. He will gently pass this one forward to, I believe that's Elias Lindholm. Trying to get another number. Yeah, Elias Lindholm has the puck now. So the Flames will circle this one back. And it's worth noting, John, the Sportsnet side, the Flames' last 7 games have, or excuse me, 6 of the last 7 games have been decided by 1 goal. It's just what they do. Oh, and now some extracurricular. Tyler Toffoli tied up with someone near Wool behind the play, but we are playing on. I'm surprised that didn't get a whistle, as he was basically putting somebody in a chokehold. Now here comes Dylan Dubé. Sharp angle shot is turned aside by Wool right there. That shot came in from the near boards. Now a good battle for the puck. Trevor Lewis really leaning into a body there. And I think that's O'Reilly, that he was contesting for with the puck. And now the puck is on the stick of Mackenzie Weegar. Looks to shoot from distance, but that's off of a skate. Bounces to the far corner, and now off of another skate, pinballing around is the puck. And it is covered in the blue paint by Joseph Wall.
Well, it looks like both of the back half predictions of mine are going to have to work. I said that the Flames will get the first comeback win of the season. Now they're going to have to do so if they want to get it against Toronto. They played a really good first about 25 minutes, but as Cooper talked about, I thought he was right in the back half of that second. It just seemed like the Maple Leafs started to turn the tide, get up in the middle of the circles. It started with a Marner 5-hole goal, and then that pass down the middle of the slot. Things got to start turning the other way for Calgary quickly.
Yes, they do, and we got a replay there. That was William Nylander just getting worked over by Toffoli, and there were referees right in the area. Now, multiple players going down. That was TJ Brody, former Flame. There comes Marner the other way. He breaks in. He's turned aside by the right pad of Jacob Markstrom, so Marner came streaking in, and then off the rebound, McCabe fires a 94-mile-per-hour howitzer that goes up into the netting. Boy, Mitch Marner just trying to create some more separation for himself yet again. Man, when he does have a bit of room, he usually turns it into a lot of room, John.
I can tell you this, for as good as Austin Matthews is, we've been calling Marner's name a lot, and the fact that Austin Matthews could be considered a foot soldier in this game tells you how good the Toronto Maple Leafs are, and I mean that in the good graces.
Yes, indeed. And last night versus the Oilers, again, thanks to the Sportsnet statisticians, a goal and an assist for number 16 in White. And he is an apple away. I don't believe he has one yet, but he certainly has a goal, and he looks charged up to get another one. And here he is with the puck on his stick yet again. He stick handles in front of Dennis Gilbert, makes him look bad, steps down low, trying to do it all. Markstrom stays home somehow and makes a left arm save. He was trying to glove it. He couldn't get the trapper on it, but it doesn't matter. He turned it aside, John. My goodness. Marner at another level right now. And now here's the opposite 16. That's Nikita Zadorov. He tried to stick handle through and almost got the puck to, Nazem Kadri, as I step on myself right there. And Now Jacob Pelche will backhand this one in. Good job of holding the zone. Kadri with a bit of a check against Luke Shen against the glass behind wall. Now the puck is on the Toronto Maple Leaf stick, and it's at center ice. Tavares has it. Now turned over. Here comes Gilbert. He's in onside. Kadri has another super sharp angle shot, and the save is made. Then Kadri is blasted by Shen, and boy, John, now the physicality getting turned up, and look who's in the middle of it. From the beginning of this game, Jonathan Huberdeau right in the mix.
Yes, he is. You got to try to bring the fire somehow. Now, Nylander, a little smiles there with Kadri. As you get a chance, they'll probably show it again. Mitch Marner was just kind of showing off near the left side of the faceoff dot as he kind of made the spinorama, drove the net. He stayed patient off the pivot. We get a look at it now. Now he's just going to work his way in front of the net with a series of stick handles. And Markstrom, great job to stay with him the whole way. That was a superstar move.
Yes, it was. Boy, such fundamental goaltending right there. Markstrom keeps that left arm and glove right on top of his pad. He locks down Marner. If Marner elevates, boy, it almost reminds me, and of course I'm thinking about the Flames because that's normally the team I think about. But that was Sean Monahan-esque. That was kind of his bread and butter with the Flames. He would always be able to roof shots from really tight angles, and Marner was almost able to do it there if it weren't for an even better save by Markstrom.
Absolutely. That was a skating display. Now we're going to see who's going to be taking this face off here. Looks like Dylan Dubé getting set to go to the circle.
Yeah, something suspect right there. It might have been while we were watching highlights. Lindholm was whistled out, and Toffoli there is battling for the puck. Not sure who really is going to get credit for that face-off win, but here comes Toronto left to right. So now the puck is on Mackenzie Weegar's stick. It's to the right of Markstrom. Mackenzie Weegar having a great game tonight, able to get this one out. Although it bounces off of Dubé's knee, he can't get possession, and the Maple Leafs will turn it around the other way. Now, O'Reilly has it near the penalty boxes, but the puck bounces down to Markstrom. He's getting pressured right there. Good forecheck by Lafferty. I haven't said his name too much. And now it's paddled aside. Boy, that was off of Weegar's stick. One of the only flubs of number 52 in black tonight. He will hold in his own end. Flames having a little trouble exiting their own zone at the moment with 13:49 to go here in the third. Shots are 28-24 in favor of Toronto, and so is the score sheets. 2-1. The Maple Leafs have the one-goal advantage. So now the puck is on Wall's stick, and he's going to backhand that one along. But Lucic is right there. Trevor Lewis looking for it. He's going to be able to shovel that one along to Dewar. Dewar tried to shovel it along as well, not successfully. That one kind of bounced up over his stick blade. And again, worth noting, John, here, this one puts your prediction at risk. 23 one-goal losses for the Flames this year. That is number one in the NHL, not a category you want to be the best in when it comes to losses. And now the Flames have possession at the far half boards, going to try to center this one, but Lucic was on the wrong side of a defender right there and not able to connect the pass. Now coming in right now are the Leafs, and here's Marner. He had another opportunity to extend the lead, John, and Markstrom answers the call yet again. Flames can't clear, having trouble in their own zone, and John, this is starting to look like a classic Flames game. Calgary being outworked, and I will be honest, outmatched at the moment. Boy, Mitch Marner just having himself a day, and there's Noah Hannafin trying to clear it out, can't do so. So the puck goes back to Riley at the right point. He's going to get this one over to Marner. Now here's Austin Matthews. He wanted the 1T, had to kick it to himself like a soccer player. And that one is turned aside by Markstrom. And there's a bit of a check right there, avoided by Matthews. He goes down to a knee. He's got the puck behind the net. Now he cycles around. He's going to leave it for Riley. Riley checked by Mangiapane. On the shift right now for Gilbert. He's at 90 seconds. The Flames need to get a change. They'll be able to do so here. You'd think momentarily they're going to send this one out. This one should be a pretty clear icing, and it definitely is. So forget about that change, John. The only thing that has changed is the play of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Look out, Calgary.
Yeah, right now it's getting very one-sided. If Mitch Marner was being honest with himself, that's probably another one that he should finish. But Jacob Markstrom absolutely has had his best game of the season. But this puck needs to start going the other way. It's the same old story you talked about.
Yeah, you're right, my friend. And worth noting the shift time here, the little breather before the faceoff. But Gilbert's been out there for over a minute and a half. Luckily, the Flames are able to win that D-zone draw, but they immediately turn it over and neutral ice. And there's a shot into the breadbasket right there. That was right on by the former Islander Tavares. And the extracurriculars continue just on Markstrom's doorstep.
So I am just changing some batteries here. A little technical difficulties to go to commercial break. I apologize.
Hey, no, that's totally fair, my friend. Normally, the technical difficulties are on my side, but we are heading to the TV timeout. So it's worth noting because we have had some special teams play tonight. Coming into this game, the Maple Leafs on the power play just over 25% at 5th in the league, and their PK over 81% at 10th in the league. The Flames, their power play just outside that bottom third. They're a point under, .1 under 20%, 20th in the league on the power play. Their penalty kill, this is something that I was listening to on Sportsnet 960 The Fan, the local station with Derek Wills and team, Pat Steinberg in Calgary. The penalty kill used to be a real strength for Calgary, John, and they have slipped to kind of the middle of the pack. They're down to 14th, but from a lot of the year, they were in the top 5 in the PK. But that has not necessarily been their downfall tonight. Their downfall essentially has been Mitch Marner and believe it or not, their former teammate Calle Yarncroke, who cleaned up a rebound to make this game 2-1.
Yes, it has. And I was going to say, because we've covered a lot of these, I remember doing a lot of these games with you just weeks on the side of it that the Calgary was in the 90th percentile as far as penalty kill, one of the very best in the league. So maybe some of the goals that they've been giving up of late have been against with the extra man. And it's another one of these games that's one goal, and it just feels like it haunts my dreams when I go to sleep tonight. I know that you're a Calgary fan, but I feel like I'm always taking this ride along with you. Man, we just can't wake up from this nightmare.
Yeah, you know what? It includes so much. I almost feel like we should have a bingo card at this point, John. It includes so many things that we see on almost a nightly basis when it comes to the Flames games. I mean, we've had shots that if they were 1 inch in a different direction, they wouldn't ring off the post. They would be hitting net. That we can check that bingo card or that box tonight. We've had extra physicality tonight. We've seen that. We've seen the Flames have an excellent first period. We've seen the play of the team start to slip as the game continues. And speaking of the game continuing, I will continue the play-by-play right now as we are just about 8 minutes and 15 seconds into this third period. The Flames do have the puck in the O-zone right now, but Rasmus Andersson not able to keep it in as it bounces around on the blue line, and there will be a whistle for offside.
I know you and I will have a lot of fun. Hopefully next year we can actually meet up for a Kraken game or whatever else. But if we decided to play Calgary Flames bingo, we might be blackout drunk. So I don't recommend that for our listeners.
Oh my goodness, no. We would have to limit the selection because, man, oh man, the Flames are nothing if not consistent. I feel like we're telling the same game story every time. But don't blame us, fellow listeners and hockey lovers. We're just calling it like we see it, and we happen to see a lot of the same things on a night-to-night basis. So here come the Toronto Maple Leafs the other way. There's a pass down low. What a beautiful sauce right there, looking to connect. The pass was to Tavares, but it bounces aside, and there is an icing yet again. Boy, talk about telling the same story. TJ Brody's right there, and it's an icing against the Flames.
Well, TJ Brody with an excellent pass from about 70 feet, and then you get John Tavares streaking down the middle. That's not a recipe for success.
Yeah, something left to be desired when it comes to the defensive positioning of the Flames tonight. And again, they seem to be struggling with the forwards trailing really right through the center of the ice. But either way, the puck is cleared down. It was deflected, so no icing. We have 11 minutes to go here in regulation in the Saddle Dome with a 2-1 lead in favor of the visiting Toronto Maple Leafs. So this all-Canadian matchup has been a good one. But the Flames are starting to let this thing slip through their grasp. John, where have we heard that before? So they want to make your prediction a correct one, and they go back to their old ways and send in a shot that's not particularly dangerous from the blue line, and it's picked up by Wall, and he holds in the trapper. So another stoppage.
This is me not using the play-by or color hat. I'm just using what I said in my heart right now because I'm getting a little worried. I'm seeing the same old song and dance right now. Get back to those final 10 minutes, work away in front of the net, get some chances because there's still a lot of time. Don't fall into that trap.
Yep, and Tyler Toffoli being highlighted on the Sportsnet side right now. He definitely is a player that can make a massive impact, and he has 13 points in his last 12 games, including 8 goals. So 73 wearing that blasty jersey, one to keep an eye on. And Zadorov throws another big hit right there against Achari. He's been lining him up all night long. Something was said to someone, and Zadorov is not happy with it, but the play continues as the puck was scooting in front of the blue paint of Jacob Markstrom. He had the paddle down, was almost expecting to make a save, but it went through and then back to the neutral zone and all the way down to Toronto's end. They will chip this one in from the red line, but it's picked up by Anderson. Zadorov's still out there. He looks to connect with Dewar, but it's right through the wickets. Boy, that one looked like they were playing some lawn games right there, and there's another icing with 10:05 to go in the third.
4 consecutive icings against the Flames. You look at Tyler Toffoli over the last 27. He's got some shots here, but in the last 11 games, he's got just 1 goal.
Yeah, no, you're right. But he actually leads the Flames with 25 goals this year. That's a far cry from what we saw a year ago. And, of course, the roster was massively different with the likes of Gaudreau and Tkachuk and those 100-point seasons. So under 10 minutes to go now. Shots are 32-25 in favor of Toronto. They certainly have been getting most of the shots and offensive opportunities of late. Now, there's a nice back pass right there, and Milan Lucic shakes his head, and so do I. That was a rebound that was just waiting to be tapped in. Lucic couldn't find it, and it stays 2-1. But, boy, John, if he has that again, I bet he ties this hockey game. So here we go. Toronto now going to break out of their own end with Marner and Matthews on the ice. Marner has been a revelation tonight. He looks like a man possessed. He will send this one back gently to TJ Brody. The forechecker for the Flames is Blake Coleman. Backlund also doing some at the blue line of Toronto. He will step in for Marner, going to try to take any time and space away from number 16 White if possible. And Toronto is going to just take their time here, and they can because they have this 2-1 lead. Coleman's still on the forecheck, really working hard here. He's had a nice game as well. Don't want to forget him on the list of Flames that have performed well tonight. And now the puck sent in. It's deflected off of a body. I believe that was, yes, it was Ryan O'Reilly along with Noah Hannafin. Now the puck is behind Markstrom. He looks over his right shoulder. The Flames come away with it. So inside 9 minutes to go, John. We are now looking at the puck bouncing behind Wall. And there will be no icing there. That was sent in legally. And there's a battle for the puck. It's loose, and it goes just past Backlund again. He'd like another shot at that one, but he's at the end of his shift. Looks a little tired here. Here comes Kerfoot, and their backhand shot by O'Reilly goes up and over the crossbar. Dangerous play right there. Could have been 3-1. So the Flames struggling a bit here in this third period. Certainly a different ball game when we compare it to the first and even most of the second. And now Kadri's going to drop this one off. And here comes the trailer for the Flames. Is it Backlund? No, it's Zadorov. Why did I think anything else? It's almost Nikita Zadorov. Man, he looks like another forward tonight. Now the puck's on his stick. Gets it to Huberdeau. Huberdeau to Weegar. Weegar tries to send it down. It's bouncing! And I think it's off a body in front. Wall had to get very active, and I don't know if the puck actually made it to him, John, but either way, it stayed out. The Flames actually created a nice chance right there, probably their best of the period. And there's Peltier. He decides to rip one from about 35 feet out, and it's gloved down. 7:45 to go in the third, John, and we'll have a face-off.
That was some good end-to-end action there. And Lucic, I know on the previous one between his skates, but Justin Hall might have saved a goal to help out Joseph Wall as we go to commercial break.
Yeah, Wall and Hall combining right there to keep the lead for their team, and the Flames grimacing, just gritting their teeth here. But you know what? That's a good sign. There is still a little bit of time to work with here, more than a little bit, to be honest. We're about 8 minutes to go or so and change, and the Flames, with their first line, make something happen, and that's what you need. You need your big boys to step up in big moments.
Yes, you do, because let's just look at it right now and do a little bit of scoring reset. There isn't much to go on in this game, but we will take a look at it, and I got to make sure I pull this back up. So in the first, it was a shorthanded, unassisted goal off the breakaway from Blake Coleman, his 14th of the year. Mitch Marner scored in the second 5-hole off of a great move to get in the middle of a slot, but to be honest with you, Jacob Markstrom probably should have made the save. It was Marner, Matthews, and David Kemp, and then Kelly Arnkruk. When Markstrom did make the save, but it bled 5-hole, Arnkruk lifted it before the net was off its moorings, his 13th from Morgan Riley and William Nylander. Jacob Markstrom, although I say that, it's his best game of the year, in my opinion. 30 out of 32 for .938 save percentage, and Joseph Wall, 25 out of 26.
Yeah, this is what happens with Calgary Flames. A lot of times they make young goaltenders, backup goaltenders. They make them look good. And I don't know what that is. It's just something about this season for this team that's been the case. And Wall has made some very good saves. I think Markstrom has had to make better saves.
Yeah.
He's had to make the more dramatic saves, that's for sure, as there have been multiple breakaways or partial breakaway opportunities. As now we are back on the Sportsnet feed, and we're taking a look at Ullmark, who was stoning the Flames a few nights ago. He looked great. Wall looks great. And the Flames, luckily, have had a great goaltending performance of their own, but the phrase run support comes to mind, my friend. And you would like to think that with a team like the Calgary Flames and the players that they have on this roster, that they'd be able to get at least one more. My gosh, 2 goals a game, is that too much to ask? But right now, it looks like the answer is yes, unfortunately. So we're back underneath the action, as John Ott likes to say. And guess who has the puck? It is not the Flames. It's most certainly the Toronto Maple Leafs. TJ Brody tried to send one in and went off a stick and up off the glass. So play continues. 7 minutes, 20 seconds to go here in the third. Will we have yet another icing, John? You better believe it. How many is that this period? Far too many, if you're asking me.
5. We're going to start counting them on 2 hands.
My goodness. At least the Flames have some skilled players out there. We got Weegar and Anderson along with that first line forward unit. So, we talked about EA Sports NHL quite a bit. If you were playing NHL, these are the number 1 players, the forwards and defenders for the Flames. That's who you want out there. Kadri's going to take the face-off. This has also happened a lot tonight, John. Oh, I thought he was getting whistled out, but no, he will take the face-off and unfortunately lose it. So right there is a shot that gets through traffic, and boy, oh boy, Markstrom luckily had the pad down at ice level. He makes the left kick save right there, and with 7 minutes to go, there's a save with the glove by Wall the other end. He gets a little stick tap right there from Eric Gustafsson saying, thanks, pal. Keep up the good work. And we got a face-off coming up momentarily.
Well, I'm glad that we're doing a good job not trying to reference the Nazem Kadri second goal that was taken off the board. You couldn't say there is 2, but now Calgary needs to work to make sure they get in areas to get a second goal. They got 7 minutes and 5 seconds to do so.
Yes, indeed. We saw them create some nice passes and a good high-danger scoring opportunity a couple of shifts ago. But now Toffoli having trouble with the puck. It bounces out to center ice. He's going to have to turn this one back and send it across to Noah Hannafin. Now Noah Hannafin goes back left to right. And here comes, I believe, Elias Lindholm looked to center to Dubé. And no, the puck is on Noah Hannafin. He goes D to D. Now back to Noah Hannafin. And there's a shot. No, Wall didn't know where it was. He was spinning his head back and forth, right and left. And now it's tipped off of Dubé's stick. Chasing down is number 64, David Kampf. The puck's bouncing. Markstrom had it momentarily. And he leaves it for Tanev. Tanev now has it to Markstrom's right. Tanev will skate this one through his own zone and up to the red line where he chips it down for Elias Lindholm. Don't make that play Coleman 2-0, not 2-8. So here comes Toronto the other way as they promptly pick up possession. 6 minutes, 10 seconds to go here in the third. Cooper Hopkins on play-by-play along with John Ott. We're going to take you the rest of the way. If you're a Flames fan, you hope it's more than 6:03 because they got to get to overtime, the Flames do, if they want to get at least 1 point. Here's Backlund. He tried to do his best Marner impression, and guess what? He is turned aside by the check of Giordano, his former teammates, and you probably assume a very good friend, but Giordano does his job right there against number 11 in black, and Toronto will flick this one down the ice, and it is taken by Nikita Zadorov. He's checked there by John Tavares. So Zadorov turns back, looks for a teammate, going to chip this one along, and Kadri, he's in a tie-up right there, and it sticks down on the ice. It wouldn't be a John Ott and Cooper Hopkins production if we didn't have some sticks on the ice. So there's one, but it's picked up by, I believe that was Marner. Now Marner with a nice steal right there. Kadri was looking for a streaking Huberdeau coming up the left wall. Marner said, no, no, no. And there's a shot from outside, that by the Flames and Chris Tanev, but it's off of a skate. Now picked up by Jacob Pelche. We said keep an eye on Pelche. He's been a little quieter in this period. Not a ton of ice time, but he's out there now with Kadri, but Kadri can't go tic-tac-toe with him. Marner's still out there. Now Hannafin has the puck. 4:57 to go. And the puck was sauced across looking for Anderson, but it was gloved down by the Leafs and eventually taken by Anderson, but all the way back his own blue line. Now here comes Huberdeau. Huberdeau tries to get in. He avoids getting tripped. Boy, if he would have gone down right there, I know it would have been soccer style, but he might have gotten a penalty call. Either way, he stayed up, tried to get the shot off, and it was wide of Wall's net. Now the puck's down to Markstrom. Markstrom leaves for Rasmus Anderson. Rasmus Anderson now scouts the scene. and it's going to be taken in. It's in the Flames O-zone. Puck goes around to the near corner, and Milan Lucic. Now on the check right there at the near glass is, I'm trying to get a number there, but a couple of players are mixed up. It's going to be Lucic and Brody along with Trevor Lewis. And behind the play is number 22, Jake McCabe, who newly acquired by the Toronto Maple Leafs. I believe this is his second game with the team. With 4 minutes left to go, the puck is at center ice, and Walker Dewar's out there, so the fourth line forwards for the Flames. Kerfoot on the forecheck for Toronto. Chris Tanev getting some extra ice time here as the waning minutes are now ticking down. And there's Chris Tanev turning the puck over, and he will luckily responsibly get back, and that allows Dubé to pick up the puck, and he tries to chip in, but Brody takes over. So not a lot happening in terms of clean offensive opportunities for either team. And, of course, as I say that, Tavares picks up the puck. He's checked off very swiftly right there by Nikita Zadorov. Good job to get Tavares wrapped up and bumped off the puck. Now, Rasmus Andersson, he holds. He's up at the far wing. Going to try to take this one up to the red line. He'll do so and dump. Flames will go for a change. And Giordano sends us over to Justin Hall. Now it's a one-on-one. Mackenzie Weegar tried to chip that one back right to left. He's going to go toe-to-toe with Calle Yarncroke, who would have the game-winning goal tonight. Now Weegar tries to throw a check against Kampf. And there are a few players. Weegar going after Yarncroke now actually sends him to the ice. Boy, Weegar has just done it all. And man, oh man, the Flames, they're doing a great job with the body, but they've got to get some offensive opportunities here with just 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go. John, I know there hasn't been a stoppage, but I'm curious when you think that Markstrom will be pulled. I would expect to see him go in the next 30 seconds or so, as we're now at the 2:35 mark. So here comes Chris Tanev. I've said his name so much, getting a ton of ice time here in the third period. Now Jacob Pelche, he'll have an opportunity to carry in, though he tries to chip in off the backhand now. Going to be chased down by McCabe. Pelche tries to push him off the puck. Noah Hannafin pinching down from his D spot. Huberdeau had the puck momentarily. Now time and space in Gretzky's office was Pelche. Gets it to Hannafin. From the blue line, the puck off the end boards. That was shot in by Rasmus Andersson, I believe. Now the Flames doing a good job battling. This is that first line again. Pelche will go off. He had a long shift right there. And, John, we're down to 2 minutes to go here in this third period. 34-26 are the shots. 2-1 the score, courtesy of Calle Yarncroke's rebound goal, cleaning it up on the doorstep. Last period, he made this thing 2-1 in favor of the visiting Maple Leafs. So the Flames at risk of making John Ott's prediction false tonight. Just a minute and 40 seconds to go. But Tyler Toffoli on his horse, no pun intended, in that Blasty jersey. There's a shot from the far wall. Didn't make it to wall. But now the puck is behind in the trapezoid. The Flames doing a good job of trying to hold in until now it's flipped up and back to center ice. Mackenzie Weegar picks up, gets it over to Rasmus Andersson, the Swedish defenseman for the Flames. Elias Lindholm does some nice stick handling right there, but can't connect a pass. We are now down to 1 minute, 18 seconds to go. Markstrom still at net, and that shot was right on by Yarncroke, but just a couple inches wide, so if I correct myself, not right on. And, John, we are down to just over 60 seconds to play, make it 65 to be exact. The referee steps over the puck to avoid the collision right there, and now the puck is down low. The Maple Leafs are working in the trapezoid, but a good job by Nikita Zadorov to check his man off the puck. That was David Kampf. Now Markstrom out of his crease. He's got the puck on his big paddle with just 45 seconds to go, John. Interesting decision right there. Now here comes Backlund. He'll chip this one at an angle, and Markstrom finally leaves the ice, so it's an empty net at the Flames' end. The Flames do just 35 seconds with which to work here. The puck is down low in the far corner to Wall's left. Now it's held in, so the Flames have the extra man on. It's a 6-on-5. Noah Hannafin goes to Andersson. Andersson up to the far wall. It's Kadri. Now this one centered, but it's bounced off of a body. And, John, it's a 2-on-1 the other way. Here comes Mitch Marner. He tries to shove it over to Achari. And that one is off of a body. Here comes Backlund. 12 seconds to go in the game. John, I think your prediction may be falling by the wayside, my friend. 7 seconds to go. The puck is trapped and now sent out by Toronto. It won't hit the net, but time will run out. And the blue shirts here at the Saddle Dome jump up out of their seats and cheer. It is a regulation loss for the Calgary Flames by a final score of 2-1.
Come on!
Oh, my goodness, John. What a good hockey game. That was a fantastic contest. But unfortunately, I'm afraid the Flames, they couldn't reward you for your confident prediction.
I mean, I really tried. I felt like I was trying to give some good rationale in the sense of 3 games in 4 nights, shuffling forward, shuffling D pairs. I mean, it was Sheldon Keefe just the other day with Riley and Hall saying that was an awful defensive pairing as they just pretty much got circumcised against the Edmonton Oilers. And then I guess the Flames are just the best medicine. And you know what? We talked about it. And you mentioned this when we talked about the games played and what was left, and that it's possible that it'd be a 5 game losing streak. Well, now that's 4 in a row. And now you're going to have Minnesota, Dallas, Minnesota. And I think the predictions and the fear that we had, even though I tried to have the confidence today of this could be the beginning of the end, man, I just feel a pit in my stomach.
Yeah, and you know what? You know what though, John? You actually, by noting the upcoming schedule for the Flames, I think that you have just identified the final stretch of possibility for this team, and I think that you have to get 6 out of 6 points in the next 3 games.
Yes.
There's no more room for overtime losses, which that's the Flames' specialty this year. That's the most popular item on the menu for the Calgary Flames is an overtime loss. They couldn't even get that tonight. Didn't even pick up a single point. You know, part of me wants to say they deserved a point. This is absolutely a game that could have gone to overtime. A very tight contest. You know, I would say it's as you pointed out, a Leafs team that was at a disadvantage because of their demanding schedule, and of course coming off a back-to-back, having just been handled by the Oilers a night ago. But you know what? As much as I want to say that, the way things happened in this game is just too typical for the Flames.
Yeah.
Great first period, mostly good second period, but you see them start to slip. 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes to go in the second. It's all Toronto. They get that go-ahead goal, and for whatever reason, the Flames don't bounce back. They only continue to slide. And even when they had the extra attacker on, with Markstrom finally leaving his crease with about 45 seconds to go, I don't believe they had even one legitimate scoring chance.
No.
I know that's tough to do inside of a minute with all of this pressure, but you just have to make something happen at some point. And I think that's it, John. It's going to be Minnesota, Dallas, Minnesota. 6 points or bust.
I think you're right, Cooper. I wish I had some more superlatives to bring to it, but I mean, these have just been soul-crushing games. Honestly, I don't know how you deal with it because I know I'm right along the coattails with you, but I'm struggling. I mean, even for the point where I watched my own team get obliterated by Ottawa, look, I thought on the outside chance the Red Wings had their run, but that was it. They got hot and then it was done. But Calgary's been there. How do you lose so many games by 1 goal? That's almost impossible. And they might go down in NHL history as being the team that lost the most 1 goal games ever in one season.
Yeah, and it's a far cry from what they did. I know we're comparing apples to oranges, but you know what? I know it's not the same roster, not the same group of players, but it's the same franchise. And to have 2 100-point players, contract discussions be damned. I know the Johnny Gaudreau situation. Yeah. Living was up against a wall. I know, and credit to him, Matthew Tkachuk, for actually being clear about his intentions to move on from the Flames, allowing Treliving to do something. But what a far cry, John, to think that may be the case for this team, to have the most 1-goal losses in NHL history. There's no other way to put it. Obviously that is the statistic. That's literally the stat.
Yeah.
But the only way to describe it is this team just lacks the clutch gene. They have talent, but they don't have the clutch gene in order to bounce back. And that's exactly what we just saw. We watched them continue to slide down the cliff and into the water where the flame is doused. And the Leafs come away with a hard-fought victory. They deserve all the credit in the world, but it was there if the Flames wanted it, and that has been the case literally 24 times this year for that team.
So I'm just going to make this plain as day. I know I'm doing the broadcast again on Saturday and Sunday, and then the next week will all be up in the air. But the next one's going to be Calgary and Minnesota, as we'll take a live look at it, what could very well be the last stretch of playoff hopes for getting at that point right now. The one thing that Calgary does have in their favor that I can come back at and say, these two games against Minnesota, they can ride their coattails. But if Minnesota continues to win, again, they're up 2-1 right now. That's how they're winning their games. If they continue to do that, then you're going to have to hope that you catch either Winnipeg or Seattle. And that's going to make it a whole hell of a lot tougher. But we will figure out what happens at the deadline tomorrow. I mean, I understand maybe it could be Brett Ritchie or Trevor Lewis, but before I let you go here, Cooper, is there any moves that Calgary might like as far as dumping a player to a different team?
You know, I actually don't think so, and I think it's because of what we were just talking about. I think that it probably in a much more sophisticated way, Brad Treliving is thinking about the upcoming schedule, and as these losses start to pile up, I mean, I'm sure he has something in his mind that would have triggered, certainly not a fire sale, but the trading of current players on this roster. I don't think we'll see anything happen because I think that there is just, I mean, and now truly with italics, just enough breathing room, and it will require out of the blue the Flames to completely turn the tables and just go on a winning streak. And they haven't been able to do that all year. So logically, can we really invest? Can Brad Treliving really invest in his own belief in the team that he manages to go on a run? And is that so much to ask? A 3-game winning streak? That's pretty ho-hum for almost any franchise. But the Flames have barely been able to do that this season. But to finish my thought and to answer your question, I don't think we'll see any moves. In part because of the cap situation with the Flames. I don't think if you move a Ritchie or a Lewis that you necessarily make that much space for yourself. Those are, kind of on the lower scale when it comes to contracts and numbers. So unless I am completely off base and Treliving has just, he's torn up all of his notes tonight and said, I'm sick of watching these 1-goal losses, and we start to see the Backlunds and Zadorovs and Toffoli's of the world get put on the block. And this would literally have to be happening right now at 8:45 p.m. Pacific, and that would be 9:45 p.m. Mountain Time where the Flames are. My belief is no, the moves won't happen, but maybe Brad Treliving's even more fed up than we are, John.
Well, we'll figure it out on Saturday. I wish it was better circumstances. So I'm 0 for 1 on my predictions for the year. I don't make many, but I felt it tonight. We'll see what happens on Saturday, and hopefully get to talk to you soon in better circumstances. This will be a big game against Minnesota.
Yes, sir. I mean, wins and losses aside, these are always fantastic.
Yep.
I'm glad we've been able to do some with some regularity. And my belief right now is that I will be available for that game. And, if it's going to be 6 points or bust, we'll have a front row seat and see if they can get the first 2.
All right. Just please don't make the bingo cards yet. I'm not ready for blackout.
We'll hold off because, we have plenty more hockey to cover. We have to have our wits about us when we finally hit the playoffs. So, we'll keep the bingo cards in the closet for now.
All right. Sounds good, buddy. I'll talk to you this weekend.
All right. Thanks, John.
Oh, man. Just another one of these games, folks. We do the best we can to try to be judicious as possible about what we call and see on the ice, but I can't imagine. I know what it's like to have certain things be grading, but I think Cooper's right. It's Minnesota, Dallas, Minnesota. You're in a situation now where it's 6 points or bust. I'm right there with them. We'll see if we can get it Saturday. We will see you guys then. I'll have the off day. We'll be back Saturday. And then Sunday should be Seattle, Colorado. Talk to you guys then.